All right, it's time for the number one Star Citizen podcast / talk show on Friday nights at 9 p.m. Central. That's right. It's a SpaceBro show. That's right. And tonight's super guests are Snake Eater.
Yo.
Moist Noodle.
Hi.
And of course, the one, the only, the Few.
I don't know.
That's right, and I'm Itachi while they all make funny faces and stuff, and we're going to go to the 4cam right now so we get the show started. All right, what is up, guys? What's going on?
Yo, 3.7 is what's going on.
I know, man. We had fun yesterday. Kicking around in there.
3.7's out? Wait, what? I'm just kidding.
What happened? Yep, absolutely. In PTU. It's not live yet, so let's not get everybody all too excited there. But
the PTU is available for everybody that's in PTU, right? It's wave 2.
Wave one, right?
It's still wave 1? I thought they opened it up.
Wave 1.
Still wave 1. Although almost everybody's Evocati now, almost everybody's wave 1 that was active. So, I mean, I don't know how many people. I'd be interested to take a poll. Maybe we'll do a Twitter poll later tonight after the show. I want to see how many people do not have access to wave 1 PTU.
I wonder what the demo or what the stats are on that for sure.
I don't know.
I mean, wave 1 is subscribers, concierge, and
Evocati, and people who whinge a lot on Reddit.
Yeah, because Evocati.
Right, so like 90% of the community probably.
90% of the active community, at least. I mean,
even if you're not a subscriber, I think a lot of people subscribe specifically for the patch launches, right?
I'm not even subscribed anymore. Like. I'm still wave 1. I think that
that's because you're concierge.
Yeah, I guess that's
once
true.
You're concierge, you don't have to subscribe anymore.
People come into chat quite often and like are asking about it because they don't have access and can't wait to get access to the new patch. So I think there are a fair amount of people that don't have access to it, but
could be.
Yeah,
could be.
Maybe they just don't try hard enough. Try harder.
Well, we are a community that is not lacking on tryhards. I will tell you that. So it's we have a lot.
True.
A lot. Although I would say once things got a little rough in Star Citizen over the beginning of this year and everything, most of the people that were like really inconsiderate and try hard, they kind of drifted away. So we had the good meat and potatoes people around still, and we haven't seen all the I haven't seen as much trolling, I guess. Just maybe that one group that messes with Luke now and then, but other than that.
Which group are you talking about? Snake Eater's group?
Yeah.
It's not my group.
every time they come around, Luke says, "Oh, this is Snake Eaters, guys." So you get hung up. So we're streaming there. It's like these guys just super trolling the whole time. It's like,
just because I have friends in low places doesn't mean it's my group.
Break out the Garth Brooks album.
I like the drama in the game that conflict like that brings. It just makes for things to do in the game, right? So
yeah,
agree.
So many salty streamers who just
wait
dying.
So there was an episode I was streaming. It was a while ago now, like a few weeks ago. I can't remember, maybe a month ago. And Shadow Moses. I don't know if that's the group you guys are talking about. That's the group I was talking about. Yeah. But Shadow Moses, Devil. She was like, "I'm going to I need you to pay a certain fee, or I'm going to attack you or whatever," right? And so this isn't like this is like a protection racket, I guess.
Extortion, got it? Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm just leaning into this thing. So I'm like, I had lots of money, but I was like, I don't have 100,000 Alpha UEC. Yep. I don't know what you want me to do. I got a couple used gray cats though. Like, will you accept these used gray cats as form of payment for protection? And she was like, yes. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll meet you at the place that I was on my knees in front of you a long time ago or something. She's like, okay, sounds good. Yeah, and exactly. And that was from a different episode that you'd have to go back and watch.
That one's only available on his private Instagram. And Gotta get
And
Snapchat for
so
links.
the thing was is though, and I didn't plan any of this. Okay, so I wanted to go pick up my gray cats from wherever, and there was a bug in the game at this point in time, and the gray cats kept falling to the floor of my ship, so I couldn't actually transport them to the location. So I ended up having to show up to this location empty-handed, and they were like, I was like, look, Jabba, I'll get you your money, and and anyways, there was nothing in there, so they took me up in the spaceship and made me walk the plank to my death, and it was great fun. I don't know, it was great content.
I was gonna say, I think when you can when you can get that RP element in there and you can kind of go back and forth and have fun with it, I don't think it's a problem. I mean, I pirate a lot in game, so it doesn't bother me.
This is what really frustrates me. I love those guys to bits, right? They are awesome because they're in it for the fun, right? And they genuinely see it as creating content for the content creators. But there are so many, I would say probably about 80% of all the content creators that they run into, they just get so upset and salty.
Yeah, it's bad.
Make the most of the situation.
I mean, part of that is the juice, is that they're squeezing for that great salt, but the reality is we've always said this, and I've always said it. Stream sniping is the best thing you could hope for as a content creator, because most of the time you're like testing mechanics or some shit. But so if there's an actual adversary out there, you just need to sack up and try to like figure out how to defeat or avoid that adversary. You don't necessarily always have to fight them head on, but like if you're trying to do cargo or something, you try to figure out a way to win the day.
Well, there's a degree of that, but to be honest, I don't want to like. They don't actually, as far as I could tell, they don't actually stream snipe. Okay, they know that you're on. That may be that limitation, but like for example,
in the Star Citizen world, it's semantics anyway, because the servers are so small. Even if you're working,
that's what I'm saying. They're using
network.
They're using the game mechanics. They're not going onto your stream and like necessarily. I don't know. From what I can tell, they're not watching where you are and finding you. They're doing it.
It's hard to accuse either way. But what I would say in that regard is I like people that play the moment, and I don't mind like if they're pirating or they're being combative and all that stuff. I'd say stream sniping though, I don't shine on that, because eventually there'll be functionality in the game once they get to single shard, they'll be able to track you. They'll be able to find you, because that'll be mechanics in the game. Right now, that's not available. So I think some people, the problem is what they do versus what some people do that just follow a guy server to server to server and just blow them up. They don't have that interaction. They don't communicate. They aren't trying to do any RP. All those people get muddled together, right? So it's like it gives the people trying to do a little RP, trying to do a little pirate, and trying to have fun with it a really bad rep. Because otherwise they're just like, they're just like all these other assholes that just blow you up and like crash into you on the deck and all those stuff. So that's the problem a lot of those people have. And I see that those things will come more substantial. Like you'll be able to delineate between the two as we get more mechanics in the game, right? Because you'll see who's playing the game and who's just being a D-bag.
But at the end of the day, there's always going to be the PvE, the people that want nothing but PvE and lament any PvP period, and then the people that's
not this game, right?
It's not this game, but you'll get some more options to do it. Like when
no, it's all right. I mean, even in World of Warcraft, I mean, you can choose particular servers that are immune to PvP, but generally they're a lot lower activity level and a lot less interesting, because the unexpected, the unpredictable doesn't exist there. So I think people generally don't know the gift they're being handed, or look at it that way when there's an adversary out there to deal with. Obviously they're not dealing with it on their terms, so that is part of the reason. But still, a game like this where we are the creators of our own content, I mean, But you're gonna, like I said, when it gets down the road, you're gonna have more of a noob area where people start at. Like if you've never played the game and your first experience is wham, somebody ramming my ship and explodes, so I gotta wait 15 minutes to get my ship back. That's kind of negative, right? It's like, hey, I didn't get this, and people just go to free fly. Well, maybe they're trying to run some cargo or something. The game will have that.
For Star Citizen, and I was saying this earlier on my stream, there are a lot of people who are coming to Star Citizen who have never played an MMO before. But even if you have played an MMO before, typically if you play a game like WoW, because I know Snake's playing a lot of WoW Classic at the moment, I'm playing a lot of WoW Classic. typically, you do your quest, you do another quest, you do another quest. You might get somebody come along, and if you're on a PvP server, gank you. But typically, you can just get on and continue your quest. But with Star Citizen, I think there will be barriers, whether it be players or like even NPCs that are just too difficult for you to kill on your own, where people are going to have to learn to adapt and overcome. And that's the thing that I'm seeing a lack of with a lot of people who are playing the game at the moment. I'm not saying this is everybody, but I'm seeing a lot of people who are whingy and complaining because
about a game that's hard.
Somebody's
about a game that requires a little bit of
different
thought
way.
I mean, even WoW Classic, it's possible that you get an area denied to you because of PvP, and it diverts your night potentially. But you got to be okay with that.
With 3.4, I spent the whole of 3.4 at Jumptown, and the amount of people who would get mad at me because I wasn't allowing them to play the game their way, and they would call me a griefer. And I'm saying, how am I griefing? You can go anywhere else in this system, and I will not touch you.
You're not hunting them over and over again. You're just hanging out in one spot, and they keep coming back to you. It's not the same.
That's not griefing.
It was a good highlight of the difference in mentality, right? There's this one place in the entire universe, and the truth is they don't understand the nature of it. And and they want to bend the game to their gameplay, and want no other outside influences on what they want to do right then and there. Which what they don't realize is literally just make some money to do nothing with, because the game isn't there yet. So it's sort of a silly, perspective lacking argument to be like, griefers or like anybody PvPing or forcing PvP on somebody.
The other problem on the other side, to look at it from the other perspective, a lot of people also get grouped into the Care Bear tag too, right? Because maybe they're brand new, maybe they're not really crybabies, maybe they're just trying to learn. You know what I mean? So I think you have people getting labeled as griefers that aren't really griefers, and you have people that are legitimately just trying to learn the game. They don't have any guidance, because it's not like there's even a freaking tutorial or anything anymore. They have no guidance at all, right? So if I bought the game and I was like, oh, it looked kind of cool and all that stuff, and I have no guidance at all, I don't know how many people message me like every week, and they're like, hey, where do I start? Because I honestly, I don't know. They just don't. They don't have a clue. They might search some things up here and there. I'll point them to a YouTuber or something like that. Yeah.
But you don't get like in Ark, for example, you don't get people like going on and on about like people are just griefing them and constantly attacking them in the open. And
I think they did in the beginning.
I don't know. I just feel like people's perspective of the game is just really shallow and short-sighted. Like they just don't understand how important it is to have adversaries. It doesn't even necessarily have to be like, it's like a good way to boil it down is the term pirate. Okay, so people generally think there are two factions in this game: lawful, like cops, and robbers, aka pirates. And it's like, that's not really how the world works, or the universe in general. Even state entities don't consider themselves good guys and bad guys necessarily. It's a lot more complicated than that. And so in Star Citizen, they've said that one system will be ruled basically by a corporation. You go to another system, you might be the champion of that system. You might be the biggest white knight ever known in that system. You defend all of the weak in that system, and then you go to the next system over, and because of your allegiance to that system, which is ruled by a specific corporation, now you're a fucking pirate over there. You're a blacklisted dude because you have allegiances to somebody that is a conflict of interest, right? And so that's the kind of thing, like, I hate the term pirate just because I know people look at it like, hey, he's a dirty pirate and he's attacking people. It's like, no, listen, look at Shadow Moses. What they do, they are not without their own rules. There are groups that have paid them to not be molested or to be protected even. And guess what? When somebody in the org asks, hey, I found this guy, they're like, stay the fuck off of that guy. He's paid and he's under our umbrella. And so they don't attack him. I mean, they live by their rules, their own rules, and they're not like
And there was a golden age in EVE Online where it was like that. It was one of the things. It was like for all the different groups of companies and stuff in EVE Online that were pirates. They had their own like universal code, which was like basically they would honor ransoms. So if they pointed a guy or trapped a guy in like an interdiction type net, you would sit there and you could web the guy down. And if he paid you a ransom, it was group policy to actually let that guy go. They wouldn't just kill him anyway. And they do that stuff. So they lived on an honor system. But eventually it led to a pirate civil war inside EVE Online, where there was guys who are like, F that, we're just going to, steal, pillage, do all that stuff. And the other guys are like, no, we like this whole system because we make a lot of revenue. We protect our areas, and people don't bring huge fleets in here because they know those guys live by their own code. They aren't just marauding everybody. So it was a very interesting aspect. And I look forward to those type of internal dynamics happening in this game too, hopefully. Because it's so cool, man. It's stuff that it's not even a game mechanic. Just created in game. It happened that way. It was good.
Yeah. Well, there was a state of the game where there were these org like animosities, and some orgs had like mutual respect in the dogfighting world, and others were like kill on sight. And whether whatever reasons those statuses came to be, everybody was glad they were there because it just makes things more interesting.
Yeah. We haven't gotten to the point where there's actually companies and organizations in this game that are actually operating and having spies and stuff like that. I mean, that hasn't even taken off in this yet, so just wait. People think they're crying now. Wait till Joe you flew with for 6 months robbed your company bank. And you're like, what?
Wait till the Mantis gets in the game.
Oh my!
And people are like,
so now?
Well, it's not. Has been flying around in it today.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you thought just getting attacked and then having to fly away made people salty.
Yeah.
Just wait.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna with the Mantis in the game. If we're gonna bring that topic up, with the Mantis in the game, you're gonna see people, especially traders, go way out of their way not to go on major shipping lanes.
Well,
like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
You're gonna see them
go to where they're going eventually. Right?
No, not necessarily. Like, you can approach. We can talk about it, but later.
I would hope to see more people who are trading actually running with escorts. With the Mantis coming.
Right.
Yeah,
we want to see that player interaction, all that stuff.
Yeah, but not just that though. The Mantis has like only a 20-kilometer range on its ability to interdict you.
Pretty big.
It's pretty easy to dodge that if you're consciously dodging it.
Well, but if you're quandering from point to point, it's also probably pretty easy to blanket an area, because you're going to land within 20 kilometers.
This server. So, like, for example, like, let's say, well, what's a route you want to run to? You know what I mean? Let's just Crusader, Port Olisar to Lorville or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it'd be very easy to fly like 40 kilometers away from Port Olisar in a direction, and then quantum to a Lagrange point, and then hit, Hurston from a spot that nobody would ever interdict you on. Yeah, you know what I mean? And then
you're talking about a group of people.
Location for a few seconds and drop out, and that is literally enough to
But
so it'd be very hard for people to interdict you
that sees a challenge and is like, okay, how do I defeat this threat that exists now? I got to change what I was originally planning to do to cope with the situation. That group of people was already fine with potential threats out there attacking them, but the group that just wants to go from Port Olisar to the most valuable spot in the universe to get
turn around
and be unmolested, and they're not going to change what they do, and they're just going to be mad that somebody gets on them.
They're going to be mad anyway.
True. That's very true. But that's what we're saying is those cats.
It's a game. There's got to be challenges. Otherwise, it's not a game.
And the other aspect, I know we already steered completely off course, but to keep going,
whatever.
The other aspect in that though is there's a lot of things that we don't have game mechanic wise to help them circumvent. We don't have the beacons that you can just drop as your own travel beacons and maintain to make your own secret paths and stuff, to go around. We don't have.
But it's pretty easy in Stanton to circumvent. Like, you could have 50. You could be one person in a server with 49 mantises, and you could dodge all 49 of them. I think pretty easily.
If they're all hard
for them,
if there's 49 all around one city, you might not.
It depends what you're trying to do. If there's a Jump Town-esque cargo location, it's going to be tough.
I don't think so. Well, because you can
You
quantum
could dodge
to it.
fighters, and those don't have a way to stop you.
We're talking about quantum interdiction, right? Like obviously local space, they could hang out there because you got to fly into jump town. They're going to be able to see you. But we're talking about if they want to quantum interdict you, you're like you can approach to within 100 kilometers without being in any like kind of quantum interdicted like space. Like you still have to fight somebody eventually because they know where you're going, right? They'd be like, oh, they're going to jump town, so I'm going to put fighters there. But they wouldn't use quantum interdiction to stop you. They just meet you at jump town. I don't know if that. Yeah.
Well, you're given the same situation that Jumptown had, which is the people that understand the game well enough can probably cope. The people that don't understand the game well enough aren't good at interacting with the game are going to be the targets, and they're going to be pissed about it because they don't understand how to.
Yeah.
It's very easy to cope. You just make friends with Moist Noodle, and he doesn't attack you at Jumptown.
There you go. There you go. Well, let's do a quick around the room.
An awful lot, to be fair.
I know we dive into the hot-bedded game mechanics. Let's do a quick around the room, talk about everybody's past week or so, because I know we all got to play a little bit and do some stuff. But I know you guys were over at TwitchCon, both the Few and Snake. So we haven't really got to talk a little bit about that. And I wanted you guys to talk a little bit about the bar citizens out there and some of the air stuff, some of the air fun you had and who you ran into. So Luke, you can go ahead and go first because you haven't been here forever.
I know. I've been so busy.
I know, right?
Man. So I went to TwitchCon and I ran into this person named Snake Eater. No, just kidding. It was really a great time. I obviously knew it was going to be pretty fun, and there's a lot of good friends going, and I knew there's going to be wine there. So I mean, what else?
So you were good to go.
Yeah, and there was some people I had met for the first time that I had never seen. I wanted to meet, like Flying Sparrow was there. I got to meet Flying Sparrow. So we had, and I don't have to go into all the crazy detail, but we had like, I went to 2 of the bar citizens. Was there 3? I didn't go to the one on Sunday.
Every night there were like 4 or 5.
Yeah. They usually have them every single night.
I can't remember. I hung out with obviously Scorpion and I like kind of like roomed together while we were down there. And it was really cool. It was like, so the 2018's TwitchCon, we had a pretty good presence of Star Citizen people, and we had a great time. I felt like this year Star Citizen was represented probably twofold maybe from last year. So it makes me wonder, like, what's next year? Like, is it going to be even bigger and more popular or something? First night we like went out. A lot of great people. Rexzilla came to all the bar citizens. That guy's a fun time to hang out with. And then like the second bar citizen, the second night, I mean, we had people like Tim Mack showed up, and Burke Black and Cream, and it was there's like a good representation of like just not even just like the hardcore Star Citizen streamers, but just like streamers who touch into the game every once in a while. So it's good to see them. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What
Snake,
about you?
what was your experience like? Like what stood out for you at the bar citizens and whatnot?
Yeah, man, I was not expecting when the Discord fired up to try to organize some people to get together for TwitchCon. I was expecting, a few people to end up linking up via that, and it turned into, Thursday through Monday. I had to leave Sunday, but as far as I know, like Thursday through Monday, they had a bar citizen, and a couple of them were like, big and raucous. We had this huge table at this one open air bar, and we went, pub crawling after that somewhere else. And
yeah,
I mean, it was just like really, really active, and that was something I wasn't expecting because it was TwitchCon, not CitizenCon, and super fun. Obviously, any chance you get to interact with this community in person, because you don't get to very often. You get to interact a lot online, but not that much in person. It was super cool, super fun.
Yeah, it felt like CitizenCon to me. It wasn't
right?
It wasn't 3 or 4 bar citizens. It was kind of like one multi-day bar citizen. It was like you hung out with each other all night, drank, go to sleep, wake up the next day, you get breakfast, and then it's like literally start bar citizen all over again.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
This is the highlight for sure.
Yeah, I wish I could have gone next year. We'll get all of us to go if we can and try to do something there. I think that'd be fun.
There's Sam I am. He was there. And the pizza every night.
The late night 2 a.m. pizzas.
Hey, I'm sure the pizza was much better there than it was in Frankfurt. I couldn't stand the pizza.
It was good. Depends on the one. We had couple of good ones, a couple of bad ones, but yeah, it was fun, man. By that time of the night, you're
you don't really care.
Starving, and you just want
yeah. So Moist, how was your last week? What have you been up to and stuff?
I'm going through a period of self-improvement, so I'm trying to learn new skills at the moment. So I've literally spent the last week learning After Effects. Like I've not touched After Effects for years, but yeah,
I'm doing
stream,
the same thing.
Oh really?
Yeah.
nice, boys, nice.
I'm my stream is like I kind of RP a corrupt advocacy cop essentially. So I've animated the advocacy badge sort of slamming into the screen, and then you know how in game you've got like the holographic UEE logo over the top of the badge, so that pops up as well, and then like flames around. It looks awesome. But I'm actually going to be working on because I'm trying to build a portfolio as well. So you know like the Whammers adverts and stuff like that. ArtCorp. I'm actually going to actual adverts based on those graphics. So you're going to start doing.
You're going to start taking jobs doing design work for people?
Well, actually, I've been offered a couple of commissions. I'm not working at the moment. I've actually had a couple of people offer me commissions. So yeah, kind of.
Cool.
Okay, well, I'll just be pinging you later.
Yep, I definitely want to see what you're working on and stuff. I've been dabbling in more of like I was talking to Snake about that before, like more Premiere, a little more After Effects. I'm trying to start down with the base video editing and just go from there to the point. Like even when I do tweets, I'm like, I'll do a quick edit in Adobe Rush, which is a badass little editing app, by the way. If you guys want something on your phone that's like super cool, Adobe Rush is badass because I can just trim it. I can add an audio track on it if I want. Boom, boom, boom. Instagram. Ow. It's like, man, they got the coolest tools nowadays. But yeah, I've been learning more of that, and then subtracting tracks and doing some video editing and whatnot. So got like 15 projects going at once. But yeah, I love doing it. It's really fun. Unfortunately, I'm a perfectionist, so I like to spend weeks working on one video. It seems like right now I gotta get that timeline down to like maybe 15 hours on a video.
Yeah, that's
it can be time consuming.
That's kind of one of the things that I found I can be a little bit like a perfectionist as well. So
I just got to let it go because I actually have found, and this is some people I've been watching on YouTube and just my own experience. I get more views on some of my tweets and Instagram stuff and blah, blah, blah on just off the hip shit. Like rather than like something highly edited and all this stuff, because it's more interesting.
Actually, that's one of the things that I've been looking at this week as well, because I definitely want to get better at using social media and cross-promoting. So I definitely want to push more out on Twitter and Instagram, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
I got an Instagram
stuff
account,
I think is really interesting.
I know. I try to tag you guys all the time on stuff, whatever you're like doing something or anything. So I try to.
I'll retweet it too, but you can't really produce virality necessarily, so you never know whether something that's you spend no time on goes viral, and then something that you toiled over, it just doesn't get the traction that you wanted it to.
It's easy to produce virality. You just have to take pictures of little cute kittens.
No,
I try to tag you guys on content that you're associated with, because I also look at it this way, because when you get on the internet and you search something, you can find people associated with things just by the branches there. So even if it's something that's just on Twitter, I find people find connections to YouTubes and everything else. So it's pretty interesting.
Oh man, I need to work on a lot of like graphically art stuff. I just don't have time, so I need to find somebody to pay to do it for me.
I go back and forth. So I'm a closet graphic designer, and I like just redid a bunch of my products like the last day or so. But you hit that wall where you know that a professional would know how to, or just would have a bunch of tools that they can knock something out real quick. But for me, it's like trial and error, and
absolutely.
The thing is, in terms of graphic design, we should probably get back to Star Citizen.
We should at some point, because we're doing a whole other show. Me and Snake talked about this. We had enough conversation the past few weeks where we could just do a whole different show just on whatever, and just call it the whatever show and talk here for 4 hours about everything else.
The last point that I'll make in terms of this topic is that as a graphic designer, different graphic designers have different styles, right? So for me, necessarily, I'm not really an illustrator, so to speak. Like if you look at all my my graphics, I did everything myself apart from the illustration of myself. But I took that illustration and essentially I kind of based everything else around it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's definitely when I'm when I'm talking about my period of self-improvement, it's one of the things that I'm trying to learn new skills, and that's kind of one of them, really.
Yeah,
so.
Illustration.
I am not good at illustration. I like messing with film, photography, typography. I even like, and then some motion stuff. I'm trying to do a little motion stuff, but usually, again, that's something like you, Luke. I usually have to contract it out because I just don't have the time and energy to do it. Because I would literally tear myself apart for weeks working on like a simple motion graphic because I would not be happy with my stuff.
I'm not exactly an artistic person, and so it takes me a lot of work. And so like even stuff like this, what you see like in my camera here, it's like this is just like stuff that I steal from Snake Eater or Moist Noodle. I was like, oh, that looks good, I'll do that.
And actually, one of the things that I'm doing on my payday next week is this entire wall is going to be the Moist Noodle logo. I'm getting it printed in vinyl.
Oh, nice.
Fucking massive.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, Star Citizen.
Star Citizen. So here's my graphics model from today has received mixed reviews, but because I steal graphics.
I think
that's
it's
what
hilarious.
I do.
So here's the thing. I haven't played 3.7 yet. I just haven't had the time, and I'm gonna do it tomorrow morning, I think. But I was always an okay fan of hover mode. I thought I need tweaked it, but I didn't really know if it was good or bad or whatever. But I've also been fairly optimistic on the new whatever they were gonna do. But it sounds like it's not being received well. The new whatever.
Well,
I don't know.
Here's how it's received. The people that were very anti hover mode, which I'm not saying hover mode was ever perfect. I think it was an improvement because there were certain things that it balanced out between air and ground, and that was my favorite thing about it. Not the fact that I like the helicopter thing or whatever they called it.
We don't want floating turrets. We don't want ships that can just literally do this.
Okay, and that's what you have right now. And the thing is,
that's horrible.
Yeah, all the people that are like were very anti hover mode are saying, "Oh, well, yeah, they're going to adjust thrusters, they're going to do all this stuff to fix where it is right now today." And I'm like, so basically they went back to like 2.0. And we're starting over again. So we just ditched this entire thing we had instead of tweaking what we had.
Yeah, it sounds like we're going back to the scratch or something. But
I don't know how people suck so bad at the old hover mode that it became an issue every time they played. And that would be the only reason that you complain at the level.
Well, here's number one complaint for me taking a personal poll. And I'd say about 75% of people I talked to out of I took a personal poll about 20, 30 people. Most of them, it was because of landing, right? Either whether it was landing in ArcCorp or landing just on the ground or landing whatever. I think all CIG had to do to fix that with the old mechanics. Yes, there was a couple other things I wanted to do, like the transition between VTOLs and like doing all that stuff. But all they had to do was the same thing when you have the auto land with N, is raise that up about 20 to 30 meters above the ArcCorp hangars instead of making people try to funnel the thing. Hold in, let it pull you into the freaking hangars when you request landing. Boom. I don't think anybody would have had a problem.
Wait, so we're saying that they didn't like, they thought it was too difficult
to land.
So first of all, and I'm not a great pilot. I'm not a great pilot.
None of those fucks ever try to fly a commercial airplane.
Real plane.
Yeah. So
well, again, these guys
aspirations
or drive a car.
And that's the thing. Most of the people's main complaint was landing, and they said it shouldn't be that hard. And so, as a test today, I did this off the air. I had my 7-year-old son has never played Star Citizen because I've never allowed him to. He can land ships now.
Yeah,
with an Xbox controller.
I'm not
so you guys have turned it into a console game.
I crashed less in the hover mode than I did before hover mode, to be honest.
That's impressive.
That's you know why that is though. It's because you were more careful, and never before, and certainly not now, did I ever get an elevated heart rate or have to focus very hard to land. But during that hover mode patch, I was like, when I got into the hangar and when I got onto the ground, I was like, whew, got it, we did it.
I like that feel. I like the feeling of accomplishment. It doesn't have to be super hard, and they did need to tweak hover mode, sure, but it wasn't like, I don't know.
But I think it should have been the auto land, right? Because then you would have had the option.
The issue wasn't landing. Wasn't hover mode. The issue was a minority of people over shouting everyone else and thinking they can speak on behalf of everybody else, which really pisses me off.
But the
I
people that are
literally had
listening, it's not even their fault, really.
I had people coming into my channel telling me I was wrong and basically shouting me down. I'm like, no. But there's a couple of things that CIG really should have done. First of all, I think the hangars, the autoland would have been perfect. Hangars for certain ships are too small. Like if you try to land a hammerhead, you've only got about 15 feet either side. And then the moment you clip that tail on the back, it throws IFCF.
You're done. Yeah.
And it goes crazy.
It's like playing a game of like what an operation with a game. Like you have to tweezer your stuff.
Exactly.
For sure.
On top of that, we've got no assistance in terms of like there's no sort of hologram showing you representing what's around the ship. So you can't really see what you're doing. And on top of that, I really think what they should have done with hover mode, and I'm surprised that they didn't, was added what I called like 5 or 10 degrees of stability. So like if you tip the nose down 5 degrees or up, you don't move. It's only once you go over.
It was the helicopter effect that was really driving people nuts. It's like, oh, I took a little bit and I just slam into something.
Yeah.
And you can, in lore, you could literally make it so if you like lean forward, the thrusters can pivot enough to like not have you fall. The details, you know what I mean?
The irony of that though is that strafe was still in the fucking game. So don't use your pitch or roll at all, idiots.
Well, no, the problem is I think it's instinctual that you're in your ship. You don't
hold it at 0 is the hard thing for some people.
Also at that, and also you're instinctually you're like, and obviously whatever you should fly how the game's meant to be flown, but it's like you're in your ship, you don't want to go to external view, and you kind of want to tip down to see where you are, and people do that, and then they're like, oh, whoops, and then you know what I mean? There's that.
Yeah,
and that's a big complaint I have with the game overall is the fact that like, okay, I get the F4 thing. But sometimes I just want to use like a backup camera like I do on my Nissan. You know what I mean? I just want to have a landing camera on a screen because I wouldn't have to tab out or F4 out to look and swing my camera around so I'm landing. I mean,
I'm sure that eventually we'll have that. Right now, somebody from CIG explained to me that there is a limitation in the game, so they can't. It was because of the 890 jump. You know how you've got the battle bridge? The reason there's no screen in the battle bridge right now is because you can only have screens on remote turrets right now. It's a limitation of the game. So once they've unlocked that, I would imagine we will see things like backup cameras or landing cameras. You know, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Even helicopters today have, a lot of modern helicopters have cameras pointing directly down. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They put it on everything.
All of those issues are things that it's funny because they stuck with the flight model and refined it and you know, we're so stalwart on that. And then this is what I don't understand about the real problem is not the people that are crying about hover mode. It's that CIG, do they not by this point know how to listen to the community and be like, okay, well, is this real or is this not real? This like pushback, you know what I mean?
And I have no idea what will happen in CIG, but it's like when you saw like David Coulson first talk about hover mode, like, you know, months and months ago, he was like, oh, it's amazing. He was super passionate about it. He was so happy about it. Right. And then the last video that came out recently where he was like, yeah, we as a company decided that hover mode wasn't good.
That sounds like me talking about a decision.
You could see he was like,
that sounds like me,
but somebody told him
how he feels
I'm really gutted for him, and I know that he's a DCS World player, right? And he's clearly taking design cues from that, and I know that our Citizen isn't going to be a pure sim like DCS World, but DCS World is a great game to take those sorts of design cues from, really.
Of course it is. Of course it is. I guess at this point I'm confused because I know that there was a massive outcry from the dogfighting community when they were trying to give feedback for, you know, enjoyable dogfighting physics or gameplay. Sounded like there was zero reception whatsoever, like not even a blip on the radar from CIG of any like showing any credibility to that feedback. And then like in less than one patch's time, they've walked back hover mode because some people were vocal about it. Like I just don't get it.
There's something I've come to realize in the game, and this is why you'll see me do graphics like this and stuff now. Usually I'd be like, this is over the top, this is a little bit troll and all that. But I found out it doesn't matter how many people are backing you, how many people have that opinion. Whoever shouts the loudest wins. That's the mandate right now. Yeah, well, that's the way it is in Star Citizen now today. It used not to be. CIG stuck to their guns, and it was a little bit different. And I've also figured out the fact that they aren't placating again, and this is something that's been happening for the last couple of years. Their target audience isn't us. They have us. They'll, entertain our opinions and kind of interact with us and do all this because they appreciate us. Their target is the new guy. So if you think about every design feature that they've either adjusted or nerfed down, everything they've introduced, all the other things, it's for people that haven't had the experience playing the game. It's not the hardcore dogfighter.
I don't entirely agree with that, actually.
I do.
Because no, I don't. Let me explain why.
Okay.
Because if you look at they've already said the average value, I think, of a Star Citizen backer is like $100, maybe slightly over $100. That's average. As you take the big whales and the people who just bought the $45 starter packs.
Yep.
Okay, that means if they get a new person in the door, they can expect a lifetime value of $100-something from that person. And I bet all of us who are the hardcore backers have a greater future lifetime value to Star Citizen as far as dollar income for them than the random person who's going to come to the door in the future who's not been following it from the beginning. So I actually think, they do care about the long-term future people, but if they only cared about money, the hardcore people who've been following it the whole time are probably worth more future dollars to them.
I don't know. I don't think that's
true. Look at Blizzard. Do you think new or long-standing memberships have made more money for Blizzard, or do you think the people who've played from beginning to end made more money?
That's a little different scenario to me, but I feel like there's a lot of people from me talking to some people because I haven't played any of the WoW Classic, but I was surprised how many people told me they never played WoW and they are now. Like how many people, first time, brand new people to WoW, jumped in there because of this relaunch of it.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm subscribed obviously to.
But how much money have you bought in spaceships this year?
More than $100 worth, not as much as I have in the past. My point is I buy in every 3 months. I probably put more than the lifetime value of the average Star Citizen back into the game. I know I'm not typical, but I'm just saying, like, I think. But a lot of people
you're not in the minority in that. Most people that I've spoken with that have been in the back in this game for a while, this year they have spent far less than they ever have. And while CIG in the past might have said, "Oh yeah, it's a $100 average," all this stuff, they've seen all their old school guys stop spending money for the most part this year.
Haven't spent a penny this year.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and that happens. Sure, yeah. But
it's got to hit their wallet.
When you go through rough times, whatever. Like when I've been moving a lot as well, and I actually went through a period of unemployment. Obviously, I didn't spend any like frivolous cash in that kind of a scenario. So there's different reasons why we do it, and some of it for me is I've toned down my investment a little bit because I'm not playing the game quite as much.
Well, plus, you have a bunch of stuff.
Whatever. Yeah, but like. But my point is I know that a lot of people in the community like us are still putting in significantly more than I think any of the average new people coming into the game will probably be putting in. But I don't know.
I'm not saying that I won't. I mean, it doesn't mean the year's not over yet. I might drop $1,000 or $2 by the end of the year. But I'm just saying this year, I think significantly, and I haven't looked. I think Board Gamer had a whole thing he put out on like the financials and stuff like that. There were some articles I saw go out in the last week or two that were about that. But I really believe that this year they haven't made as much money because, I mean, there's not been a huge draw to draw on new people. And most people I've spoken to, there might be some secret whales dropping, tens of thousands of dollars somewhere that I don't see. But I don't feel like they've, the people I know, we haven't dropped as much money as we normally have. And whether it's because we have so many ships already or whatever.
They've released less ships this year. They've been actually pushing for less money this year.
Well, it's always been the enigma of CIG, right? It's like they pass up many opportunities to purely make money, but then they do things that are clearly designed to make money. Yeah. So it's like you're never really sure where their head's at.
Have we ever really understood their marketing department though? Like I've never. Sure. It's always been like off.
But my point is, if you look at the number,
fruit that could make money, right? Like cosmetics and like all kinds of different things that they could easily put in the game right now, fairly low investment, and they would make a bunch of money for it. And they choose not to, and then they go to great lengths in other ways to make money, ship sales and all that stuff. And so I'm never really sure where they're at.
If you look at the number of ship sales they had this year, it's massively less, I believe, than what happened last year. So I'm just saying, like, there's also another reason why people aren't spending money is because there's just less options to spend money on. So
I think they did mention a while ago that they're trying to work toward away from concept.
Absolutely.
Concept sales to flight ready sales. So this was going to happen at some point.
Well, I think it's also the type of assets we've seen in the game too. There hasn't been any like big standout items, I think, that like broke the mold, or like, because let's say look at the fleet compliments of people who maybe are more in the $200 to $500 range of. They've backed the game for years. They dropped at least a few $100s. Most people have like their main ship and then maybe a little fighter or something like that. And most of the ships that have currently come out weren't like, oh, this is the one mining ship. We had that like the previous year, or this is the one salvaging ship. A lot of those industrial tools, or this is the role-based ship, came out in previous years. So I don't feel like there's been anything released that's like made anybody, oh my God, I have to run out and jump and buy this ship this year that I've seen. Not yet. I mean, we still got some big drops to come. And I think the 890, either people already owned it or people melted stuff to get it. You know what I mean? So I don't feel like a lot of people dropped $900 like this year in the middle of it.
They've also hurt themselves a little bit in regards to like the usefulness of a lot of ships. I mean, with the new flight model and the new weapon and shield balancing that's going on right now, they took many ships off the table that people used to pine over for dogfighting and such. So like people used to always eyeball the high dollar Vandal ships because they could crush people in PvP. They would look at their stable of fighters and wish they had another one and go to the black market and see if maybe they can pick one up or whatever. And now, even I am kind of like, I can use my Arrow and my Vanguard. Probably fine for right now because everything is still so wonky with shields and weapons.
I'm not a big PvPer, but I've had more fun PvPing in an Arrow than like I've had in any game in my life. Like that is a fun ship to fly.
It is, yeah.
And I love the high consequence, high reward ships where it's like you're in an Arrow and you get hit like twice, you're dead, but like, but it's still like the whole time you're just like, oh man, it's so much fun. And
I always look at my fleet as a full concept because like I play a little differently than other people do. I only purchase things like for cash that I think are necessary tools in my personal mental toolbox that I want, because other things I'll earn in game. I still want to have every ship in the game, but I'll earn the 890 in game. I'll earn, you know what I mean? I'll get those things because I don't need those in my mind. But the thing I find too is like I always think, oh, I got those F8s, right? We got lightnings and stuff. Do I really need another fighter? Like I'm gonna have like the ultimate superior fighter by the time the game actually rolls out. So I don't know that any of those others matter.
I'm different in that regard, I guess. I actually don't know why I buy the ships I buy, really, to be honest. It's a little bit of like a collect them all Pokemon kind of a thing. Sure, like I think a lot of people.
Collecting is a thing too. That's fine.
However, I'll go for it. Yeah.
I basically look at where I think the game will be when it launches, and I think about how I can progress fairly quickly. So I have a small ship for hauling, and I've got a medium ship for hauling, and I've got a large ship for hauling, and I've got like the Orion. I've got a small fighter, a medium fighter. I want to pick up a heavy fighter at some point. So I basically what I'm saying is I try not to buy two ships that cover the same role, if that makes sense.
I'm the same way, and I think about that all the time.
For me though, like I don't think I think about that. I mean, maybe a little bit, but I think mostly I just look at a ship and I go, can I goof off on that ship? What can I do? You know what I mean? Like what weird thing? Because like if I was actually gonna play the game, like actually play the game, like do missions and stuff like that, I'm not sure I would really even want to.
If you're going to try and take a grey cat into a cave, I feel like that's probably the first thing you're going to do, right?
But those kind of things, like, right? It's like when I bought the 890 jump with a Kraken, all I thought about in my brain was I'm going to fly that over a lava planet and I'm going to fight like people to the death, or like either with fists or with gray cats or something. You know what I mean? Like I don't think.
It's a glimpse
I'm
into
gonna
Luke's psyche, by the way.
Yep.
Right
Yeah, I don't think like, oh, I'm gonna have an org and we're gonna have fighters and we're gonna park the fighters and go around and do like, no, like I don't know why I buy ships. Like,
I know, but whereas I do, I think about like if I'm gonna run an op, what's my perfect little squad complement?
Yeah.
And what ships am I gonna have in my inventory to replace those when they get blown up because I suck? So I know I'm gonna have what's my backup ship. That's the way I think about it.
I'll be honest. My confidence is just, if I'm being truly honest with myself, my confidence has been shaken pretty bad with the flight model stuff, and remains. I'm certain that they'll sort it out. It's not like I don't think they will, but in terms of putting money on the line right now, everything from the Heartseeker on really concerned me and makes me feel like it's just a really bad idea to buy a ship. If you're talking about PvP, if you're buying a ship for the concept of it, you want to be a miner or you want to be a cargo hauler, that's different. But if you're looking for a ship that's gonna have a purpose in fighting, for example, they set the tone by marketing the Heartseeker as the PvP meta ship, and they knew that they were about to tear down to the brick every part of the PvP meta, the patch that the Heartseeker became available, and they still touted it as the best in slot everything ship. And from then on, look at all the ships that are not just a little bit less in the spotlight than they used to be. Like there's no reason to fly Vandal ships. There's even the Saber, even the ships that are like pure bred fighting ships are sort of a shrug, because they just haven't figured out the system. So like I'm the Defender, and like I'm charmed by the Defender, but I am so iffy about buying a fighting ship right now.
Don't buy ships for the meta. If you're doing that right now,
it's not that. It's not about the meta. It's just about like I don't know. I guess I do prefer to be able to fly a ship and do something with it. And if I want to do that before the game releases, you have to evaluate it on what it's capable of doing while you're,
I was super excited for the new flight model when it first came out, and I think anybody that knows me knows that I'm somebody who I'll always give something a chance. And I think as time has gone on, I've definitely got a little bit more nervous about the flight model. It's not quite where it is. It just feels a little bit too slow and sluggish for me right now. Apart from the Gladius, I am absolutely in love with the Gladius. The Gladius doesn't handle like any other ship with the new flight model. It's kind of in between the older flight model and this flight model that we have now. So I kind of feel like I don't know whether the Gladius is almost like a test bed for changes that they may be bringing to the rest of the flight model, but I think like Gladius is just pretty fantastic at the moment.
You heard it here, guys. The Noodle CIG says, just kidding.
Moist Noodle _CIG says that the
Gladius is the new flight model. So
new meta.
I think that their flight model is going in the right direction. Don't get me wrong. It's not that I think that they're not making good progress with the flight model, but I just don't think that. I think that they've bitten off so much that like ship balancing is so far away. Like if they have to rebalance every ship to the new flight model, that ain't happening anytime soon, my dudes. And so
this is my complaint about the current flight model on the screen. Is like I did this, I recorded this today, and
really,
because this is back to 2.0. I'm flying upside down 10 feet above the ground of Daymar, shooting upside down, and then I get out of my ship and it just hovers there.
No,
it just sits there hovering.
My immersion's destroyed.
So
it breaks the fourth wall, right? You're like, there aren't any physics going on right now.
And this is the thing. Like somebody came into my chat today, and they were using the argument, "Oh, it's 900 years in the future. Surely thrusters should be." I don't care. It's
I don't care.
Immersion breaking.
It's horribly bad. It's so bad. When hover mode first came out, I remember I flew over a planet and I jumped out and I watched my ship just slowly hover away from me. I thought that was the most immersive thing I'd ever seen in Star Citizen, and I was like so happy about it.
Yeah.
Oh man.
My problem is once again we're back to, and the main thing I liked about that type of model, even though it needed work, I'm not saying it's perfect, I don't like this. I don't like where I just got out of my ship in this and it just sits there. That means I can once again go back to old school and I can just hover there and I can just like grief you all day.
Nope.
The old way you had some sort of balance.
I'm hoping this is a like we just don't have any ideas and we're going to come up with something in 3 or 4 months.
Well,
like
the constant thing I heard from, I think it was Slaw Dog and other people actually in this chat, because we got an argument in the global chat, was, oh, well, they're going to adjust thrusters. So that eventually they'll overheat and you'll crash. And I'm like, my ship's upside down with no pilot.
It doesn't make any sense. There's got to be aerodynamics to some degree. You know, like I guess at the end of the day, this is the sort of the workflow that really troubles me is 1 step forward, 1 step back. If you're lucky, it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But it's still incredibly inefficient, and it's what's really slowing everything down.
And I understand, like, we're in, and I guess maybe I'm getting salty, but I'm usually not a salty person.
No, it's all feedback. It's just feedback.
Feedback. But we're in like really far along in the development of this game. That's a space combat-ish kind of, also space everything game, whatever. And there's a lot of things that I expect to just kind of go back to the drawing board with, but like in just the number of times they've gone back to the drawing board with the flight model is staggering. Like I feel like they haven't made any progress.
The thing is, I don't think it'll ever be perfect, and I'm like, just choose so I know what I'm working with. Just choose.
Well, that's where
I'm at.
But don't choose this one. But don't choose.
But if they're going to choose this one, I might not be the biggest fan of it, but just say that's it. Instead, they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna have something else. I'm like, how are you gonna ask me to back the game and buy spaceships when I don't even know how they're gonna fly?
So
I have no idea.
Here's the thing. Here's where I say I could have I tolerated this flight model for a long time because in my head I knew, okay, well, they're going to make it better someday, and this isn't the permanent flight model. The fact that they're going back to this and they haven't said whether or not they're going to keep or what they're going to do to this.
Well, they said they're going to adjust thrusters, and Slaw Dog was saying that they're also going to add lift. I'm like, wait a minute, you think they're going to add lift with the wings and people can't stand the hover mode, and they're going to actually make you have lift? I'm like, that will never happen. This game, I don't care what they say. If they say, "Hey, they're gonna add lift for your wings and stuff," guys, you couldn't. Most people couldn't handle like whatever they called the helicopter mechanic. You think they're gonna handle lift? I'm like,
but like, I really hope that Chris Roberts grows a bit of. This is gonna sound really mean.
I think
backbone and learns to stand up to the really shouty people, because the example that I
used us. Don't stand up to us.
Games of EVE Online. CCP Games was going to bring in a social module years ago, where you could walk in stations, and it was like I was really excited for that. And a tiny handful of people got really, really shouty about it. So CCP Games just chucked it all out.
I got shouty about it after they shut it down, because I'm like, okay, if you're going to do it, because they talked about us having shops, right, and all this other stuff in that. And the fact is, they worked for 8 months of development, putting that together, and then they're like, oh yeah, never mind. And they didn't even take it out. They just left it in. So when you spawn your into apartment, that you're locked in a room, and that's all you do. And then you go out to your ship and you just do everything else. So they just totally unfinished game.
It's all if you're king for a day, right? But you know, let's put it back into the frame of reference of TwitchCon. So when you walk around the floor of TwitchCon, you get to see other games that are coming out, and several of them are like space, sci-fi, fly ships and stuff. And there's no doubt that they lack a lot of the fidelity that Star Citizen has, and there's no doubt that we are in love with the way the game looks. But even in that respect, we think that Star Citizen is untouchable on the way it looks, but the reality is it's missing a lot of things that other games that aren't bound by this mentality that everything has to be quote unquote realistic in this 1,000 years in the future, but yet not necessarily be realistic. Like
it's to look realistic.
We're caught between visions, right? Because we want things to be realistic and physicalized and procedural and all these things want to exist organically. But then on the other hand, we are writing blank checks by saying it's 1,000 years in the future and it's sci-fi and it's in alpha. It's like you just at some point the stone tablets should just be: is it fun? Does it? Do we want to play it over and over again? And if you run out of time, then you just fall back to that, and you're like, well, does it meet that one requirement? No, change it so it does, and move on, because we're out of time.
I like to go back to this the mantra of, well, what would it do in Star Wars, right? You know what I mean? That's what they're building to a degree. You know what I mean? And in Star Wars, you wouldn't see an X-wing fly down to a planet's surface upside down, have somebody get out of it, and it just stay there, right? Like that would never happen in Star Wars. So why should it happen in Star Citizen?
Yeah,
it's the equivalent of like jumping off a cliff and just staying there. And
you know, like, and I know people are like, I've already had people message me and say, well, what's that prove? You know, you can get all your ship. I'm like, it proves that we've retroacted the mechanics back like 16 steps, you know, and I realize
we've gone back a year and a half almost, feels like, I don't know what.
And I know they're like, people are like, oh, we have a plan, we have adjustments, all that stuff, but it's like, it gets old because you hear that all the time. And I feel like they had a good path with what they had with the hover mode crap. And they could have adjusted some things with that to make it better, so that way it wasn't so hard, or it was like address the issues instead of like. And this is why I feel like they do the toss out the baby with the bathwater on mechanics with this stuff. It's like you had something there, and people complained about landing. Why not focus on adjusting the landing then?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, because the fact that you can sit there and do it, and we won't harp on it anymore, but I'm just like, God.
Maybe.
I don't know. We'll come back to it next week again, but you guys haven't got a vent on it, so, you know, we gotta do that. So, but yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like that. And that goes on to, and the fact that I feel like, on the other hand, I feel like they're now starting to address, as far as like ground mechanics and other things. We were complaining a couple weeks ago that they weren't focused on emergent gameplay type stuff we could use in the game right now with the current system to have fun. And I feel like over the last week or so, they've showed, yes, we are addressing those things.
Yeah, that's true. So, I'm excited to try a lot of those things out.
Yeah.
But the thing is, and somebody said it in chat, and I've been thinking it all night, is the flight models like core to the game, core Squadron 42. If they can't get that figured out now, like when is Squadron 42 coming out? Like,
I really believe Squadron 42 and everything it's going to be, it won't be on rails, but I feel like it's going to be this type of flight mechanic like what you're seeing here.
I don't think it'll be the best damn space sim ever. Then I don't think it's going to do well.
It's going to be too unapproachable.
You know what I mean? We'd run into a problem, and the whole community will collapse on itself.
Something coming back to aerodynamics. You have to bear in mind that weather is coming in at some point, and I would be very surprised if weather doesn't affect ships.
How are they going? And this is the question.
Yeah, that's like they need to start cutting some sling load on some of these goals.
How are you going to add weather when you don't know how your ships are flying? Yeah. Because weather is supposed to be the impact of atmospherics on the vessel, but you don't have the base of how the vessel's supposed to go. So it's like, let's add snow. I'm like, you better hold off, because like you don't even know how the ship flies.
Wave the fuck off on weather. Nobody needs it right now.
We want the ships to fly. Can we have the ships fly, then worry about weather?
Give me pretty fog and I'll be happy.
I mean, fog is more of ambience to me. I'm excited to have things like sandstorms and snow and all these things, but I just don't know how you jump to that, and then what will happen is, we changed the flight model, so now we got to go back and fix the weather again. I'm like, what? Because that's what will happen.
That's the problem. It's like unintended consequences. There's all kinds of shit that pops up every patch that has never popped up before. You cannot have that.
Nobody likes flying with a helicopter, but don't worry, we're gonna add lift in the game and then add weather effects to make it really effing difficult. I'm like,
you don't like flying like a helicopter. Good luck landing in a hurricane.
Let's take it all the way back to the demo with the fucking sandworm. They mentioned in that demo.
Yep.
Because of weather, you're not going to be able to land in certain locations.
Yeah, but people are going to complain about that.
No, and I'm happy with it though, because
icing conditions are really going to be a factor in some of these atmospheres. You know, rime ice building up on the.
I'm totally into the fact that you can't fly in certain areas. I want no-fly zones. I want things because of either magnetic fields, weather, whatever. It's like, oh man, we got to land here. It's the only safe spot, and we got to go in by foot, because then you have to use ground vehicles. You have to use these things. But guess what? We are getting personalized inventories, but we don't have a way to haul equipment in a vehicle yet. Like, you can't take a Cyclone and put anything in it and bring it back to your ship. I think that's a fundamental flaw right now that you could address, and maybe, I don't know, with these inventories coming in, you can address small things like this and do it.
I think they're making steps forward in a lot of other ways. I think there's a lot of areas that they're taking steps forward. It's just the flight model just seems to be stuck in the mud, and that's one of the most important things. And I don't know.
Mitch, are you able to bring a video up on the stream?
I can. What would you like to see?
I'm being suggested that
Dirty
we
Dancing
play
again?
The
You got
video, we play the video in the clip. It's at a specific time point that I've put in chat.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure what it is.
Oh well, I don't know if I
Wait,
feel good about.
It's safe. It's safe.
The people who sent it to me. So.
Sorry, man. TOS, you're done.
And you're banned.
We'll do a little preview here then first before we go. Okay.
I think I'm just concerned. Like when you go to shows and you see these games that are also more or less in development, quote unquote, but they're also visually impressive. They look fun to play. You know that the next big thing is going to come out, and none of them are like resting on the credit of their procedural.
I don't think anything's going to replace Star Citizen because most companies aren't going to go to the amount of depth that they're trying to. I think stuff will draw attention away from it and look just as good, if not better. I'm not sure I agree. I'm not sure.
I think if Star Citizen takes too long and thinks that the technology that they're building is so core and fundamental that nobody else can catch up, I think you will eventually find somebody coming out with, even if it's, because what is Star Citizen until you can get 300 players or 500 players or 1,000 players on a server? It is an open sandbox game. It is not an MMO, and it is not a even an RPG. So you got a lot of games, a lot of developers that can create a banger of a open sandbox RPG sci-fi world for people to enjoy. And we got Star Citizen over here still in their sandbox, state or whatever, and they don't even have half of the trappings that some of these other games have. So
I agree with Snake Eater like 100%. I think that I'm a huge fan of Star Citizen. I still am super hopeful about it in its future, but you don't have to have another company that comes out and makes a Star Citizen replica. If other games come out and continue to come out that scratch certain itches. For example, there's a lot of people who play Star Citizen purely because they want a dogfight. Well, guess what? If a badass dogfighting game came out, maybe they won't play Star Citizen anymore. There's a small sliver of your hardcore community that leaves you. Farming or the PvE side of things. What if Elite Dangerous got really good at the PvE side of things that the PvE trucker people want to do?
It'll be a new
maybe
game.
They move off of Star Citizen. So other games can carve the community out piece by piece. They don't have to do it all in one big chunk. And Star Citizen is really at risk of losing its hardcore community to other games that do that.
But what's that mean for Star Citizen? It's not a subscription model.
No, but I guess you could say that if they have the ability to sustain themselves indefinitely for the next decade, then nothing, I guess. But for us, what it means is the next big thing could come and take over the sci-fi genre, and we're going to be looking at Star Citizen going, it's really a skeleton of what we can play now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I feel you on that, but at the same time, I'm just I guess it's also, I don't feel like they have a sense of urgency about addressing the in-game mechanics and stuff right now. I mean, it seems like they're starting to with this last 3.7 patch. There certain things like, hey, we want to get the mission sharing. Hey, we want to get the rentals. Hey, they're addressing things that we're all really have wanted for the past 2+ years, right? To give us some more of that emergent gameplay, and I see the potential there, but they're gonna have to pound on that for the next 12 to 24 months. I mean, there's no way if they let off that and they go, oh, we're working on moon goo or worms that you'll never see for 2 years. Nobody gives a shit, and I think this year has proven the fact that people will just not tune in. They won't play the game, and they'll go do other things because you've seen it mass droves this year. And this was by no means a content starvation like 2017, but the content they have dropped is just not really relevant for the live game today. No, it's stuff that they need to do it. And if you ignore the live game today, that Chris's perception is he wants people playing. He said this multiple times. He wants people playing now, right?
Yeah.
you can't do that. People have tried and they cannot do that under the current mechanics. They're trying to. People make up crap. We make up all sorts of bullshit to play because we would just really want to play the game with our friends. But if you don't address party system, if you don't address general mechanics, they're just base mechanics, not like, hey, I need to make planet X1 2 in the Nebula System 4 or whatever the fuck it is. I don't give a shit about that right now. I want to be able to just get in with my friends and play the game and have fun.
So I just sorry to just quickly bring this back a second. I just quickly watched that clip that a friend of mine sent me. Yeah, it's basically David Coulson explaining that although hover mode is gone, they've kind of built a system that will prevent, it's not in 3.7, it'll be coming later on, but will prevent people from being able to leave their ships just hovering over certain angles, if that makes sense.
I hope so. It'd be good.
I feel like it already sounds like a Star Citizenism. Like we're trying to come up with a procedural way to make it so that it can't just hard code some shit, man. Just make it so that this is the way the game works.
This is a wonderful
what
example.
happens.
Here, we're going to play the audio.
Entire Star Citizen development process working.
Yeah.
So
There's more. There's one thing I want to mention on top of that is
Hang on one second.
there's a piece as well that we haven't got in 3.7 that will also be coming to help replace what hover mode was, which is the system where we are going to scale down the strength of thrusters in atmosphere.
Yeah.
And that seems like, subtle unless you kind of think about the ramifications of that for a second and you realize that that's really significant. And what we can do with that is for ships, say, that have VTOL thrusters, we can...
Yeah, this is the same thing we were saying earlier about scaling down the VTOLs and all that stuff. I mean, and I get that. I mean, that's fine. And that's great when that comes in, but I still don't even think that's going to fully... I think, okay, if you scale back VTOLs to where they can't just hold your ship there, I feel like what you have is hover mode again.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's going to feel that different. If your thrusters aren't strong enough to hold you in position, like what I don't like, you're going to be back in, you got to balance it. You got to really guide this to do it. And guess what? You have hover mode. It's just in a different terms. And it's like, I don't know.
I assumed that it was hover mode 1.0, and much like the flight model, which they've shown a lot of tenacity and stick to itness with, I assumed they would refine it. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, of course we all have some problems with it, but generally it's a step in the right direction, and then we'll refine it. But then they just walked it back.
Sorry, I just mid-spot, just like totally gave the smackdown to Smashly.
Oh no, Smash!
Get out of here.
Smash got smashed. That's what you think? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. They need to address the flight model, but again, I don't want to waste like valuable time on to be honest, I'm about ready. I know it's like, it's so pivotal to the game and all this stuff. From my perspective, I wanted to address because it's critical to the whole game. But from my personal doing stuff, I'm gonna be in a capital ship. I really don't give a shit. I want to ground and pound and blow shit up and fly in big boats. And just give me what you want me to do. I want to have some sort of direction on a mechanic that I know you aren't going to change in 6 months. Anything. Give me anything that you aren't going to change in 6 months.
Or that at least feels like 80%. At least something that feels 80% complete. Like, they'll balance a little bit, but not go all the way back to the drawing board.
Not go like, hey, we're going this way. I feel like we're going to this fat party, right? we're going to John's house. We're going to go to this fat party. You get halfway there and it's like, yeah, F that. We're going to go to the YMCA. I'm like, what? What? I just I feel like they just changed direction so rapidly. It's not like you're going to go to one house party and you're just going to go to a different house party. It's like you were going to here, now you're going to go get soup at the grocery store or some shit. And I'm just let's
put it another way. Say you're on your way there, but you have what feels like an entire community screaming at you, telling you're going to the wrong place. And that is really
that's not what you're having though. It's really the loud ass in the back of the RV.
Exactly.
The one guy who's drunk is going, this is bullshit. It's like, I'm not going there because John's making noise. It's like everybody else on the bus wants to go, but the one asshole in the back that's like, John, what the fuck, man? Shut up. It's like, I'm not going to that club if he's going to be like that. Like, whatever, dude.
What else has been happening in Star Citizen besides this?
Let's talk about the good stuff. Let's talk about the good stuff, okay? Because
this has been kind of a salt stream.
It has been really salty because we've been talking about hover mode and flight, but let's talk about some of the good stuff. So we've gotten the Banu Defender in, and the Banu Defender is pretty cool. It's a pretty cool ship. I'm not a fan. I'm not going to buy it, but it's a lot cooler than I thought it was going to be.
I kind of hate myself a little bit because it's like the same when you know something's going to happen, I'm trying to resist it, but it's like a bad relationship or something. I'm just charmed to hell with the Banu Defender. I didn't think I was going to be, and I was almost certain.
Have you flown it?
I did. I got to fly Bear Owls last night.
I haven't flown it yet. I have one, but I haven't gotten into it.
It's cool. It feels cool to fly such an exotic ship that has such
you got a 50-50 shot of getting in it.
It sounds incredible. The sound design,
it's very cool.
All the newest ships always have the best sound.
You get green quantum fields when you get there. Green.
Yeah.
Special color. It's like the way to describe it.
It's there's a lot to like about it.
Yeah.
But don't you get choice paralysis on like which cockpit you want to sit in for flying?
You do.
You're
like, Josh, on the left side or on the right side?
You fly from your main side most of the time. You want the stranger, you go to the other side.
It's the only spaceship that will please both the Brits and the Americans. You can just choose.
Exactly.
I'm used to driving on this side of the car.
I still want to see. Can you fight for control? Like both sides, and it's like I want to go left. No, I want to go right. I don't know that yet. So
like Americans probably almost always fly on the left side, the left cockpit, and then the Brits probably almost always get in the right cockpit.
Could happen.
What happens though if you and a friend both get in right, and you're both used to flying from the left? Like, do you fight to the death to work out who's gonna?
Everybody who flew it said they didn't. Yeah, they said they didn't really feel a huge difference from flying from one side to the other, and that means they did a good job with it. It wasn't so substantially different, the viewpoint or anything, that it's like, oh my God, I'm on the wrong side. I can't drive this thing. So I feel like they did a great job with that.
Even up until a few days ago, I still saw people on Reddit whinging about the wings and how you're not going to be able to see anything because of the wings. I'm just like,
who cares?
Don't really... they
immersion
do block some of the view, but it's not enough to prevent me from being able to do any combat, and that's the whole point.
Not even remotely. Plus, if you put on a head tracker, see how much better you're. If you put on a head tracker in a ship that you think you have good vision in, and then you'll see really amazing.
Guess what? Yeah. The X-wing in Star Wars had struts. I'm just saying,
and you know what?
But were they struts in the middle of your vision? Not really.
There's something called radar on your ship. If you see a target and you know it's coming from below you, you can roll the ship.
Yeah,
incredible.
I think we're beyond vision or visibility, concerns.
Okay, so the Banu Defender's in, right? The other thing that I think is pretty cool, I thought was kind of mixed bag, but the fact you can do it together is the FPS mining, which I hate that name. The fact is just I call it hand mining because you're just like you're doing it by hand rather than your ship.
It's FPM. For God's sakes.
Yeah. It's
Wait,
crazy.
FPM mining?
Yeah,
first person mining. I see what you mean. Like, because you can't be a first person shooter miner.
Well, you're first person in your spaceship too, though. You know what I mean? It's like, so what's the difference? It's first person no matter what. You don't play the game in third person. You can get some cool screens that way.
It's FPF, first person flying.
There you go.
I just call it hand mining, to be honest.
Yeah, hand mining. But either way, so the caves are really cool. Again, people get bored with them after a few weeks, I'm sure, but there's a lot of potential to add content down there. But the thing about the mining
coming up, we can do a little scary cave.
You'll get lost in those caves, Luke. I mean, I got lost in them. They're crazy deep.
Seriously, we should set up like a scary cave that people can come to for Halloween. We'll have people placed in just the right spots with chainsaws or something.
I think you could do hide and seek.
Before the stream, I went and watched Mr. Shouty putting on a battle in the cave, and it was pretty epic, to be fair. Like the crashes were a little bit disappointing, but it looked like so much fun. I definitely want to do something like that.
Yeah,
Mr. Shouty, that's not his name.
Oh, is it not? Sorry. That's how I'm going to have to refer to him. Hello, Mr. Shouty.
No, but the caves are cool, and the mining works similar to on the tools to what they do in the prospectors. And I love the UI on it. The UI on the hand tool to mine looks really neat. It's really intuitive. I actually think they could take some of those UI and put them on the prospector and to be even better, to be honest with you. And the fact when you break a rock, you can pick up like each other's stuff, you can stow it, and you can pull stuff out of your personalized inventory and drop it to each other now. So you can actually adjust, haul things to your ship, and then make a box and put them in the box. So you can actually go on a group mining op now for the first time.
So Mitt wants a prospector rework is all I heard there.
Yeah, go ahead, add an extra 8 months on the game. We'll do a prospector rework. It'd be great. So, I'm at the point now to say that certain things are good enough until they want to go and do reiteration down the road.
Yes, they should start making good enough T-shirts at CIG for fuck's sake, because we got to move on, dudes.
Yeah, they can go back and iterate. We just need some of these different mechanics to hit the live game, and then they can iterate on them after they have tier 1 in the game. We need to get all the tier 1, tier 0 stuff in the game.
I'm so torn, because on one hand, I see them. You've got the roadmap, and they clearly fulfill to whatever level they do on a lot of those things on the roadmap. But on the other hand, I feel like we're not getting anywhere really fast. And I guess you see all these games start coming out, and to go back to how the throne could be taken away from Star Citizen in the sci-fi world is that just the nature of that there's a slice of the pie for everybody who wants something. Like, you want cargo flying, or you want FPS combat in the sci-fi world, or you want dogfighting. Everybody has the thing that they're looking for the most from it. And if they can get that thing, there you go. If you there's VR for you, you're lucky. Rock climbing has got VR now. If there's a game that comes along that scratches both sci-fi itch and that main jam that you're looking for, it's just going to be the thing you spend all your time on at that point. So, we'll see.
And I don't know what you're talking about, other games coming out soon, and I'm super hyped.
Oh, yeah. I know.
Red Dead Redemption 2
really what the
to
show
PC.
should be about tonight. Red Dead 2. Yeah. I was just thinking about that, dude. I was talking to somebody like literally 3 days ago going, man, when Red Dead comes out on PC, it's going to be great. And they're like, how do you know it's going to come out on PC? I was like, I don't know. I'm just hopeful.
Isn't this like, what day is CitizenCon on? It was like the day after CitizenCon or something like that. It's like we gotta get home and play Red Dead.
CitizenCon is the 23rd, so we're gonna have a whole couple weeks to play this before.
We'll be people be showing up to CitizenCon in cowboy hats and spurs and stuff. So it's like, what happened? Yeah, I'm super hyped about that.
I'll ride up on a horse.
Yeah, this is my favorite time of year because all the cool stuff comes out, but it's also the time of year I hate because most stuff drops when I'm traveling. And I was like, oh, it won't happen to me this year because I'm not going to TwitchCon or CitizenCon. But my vacation is at the end of October here. So literally, I'll be gone. Everything's dropping like on the week, like the 25th, the 20th, the 24th. And I'm like, oh. I'm
super jealous of your Disneyland trip.
I'm super excited about it. More, the most exciting part of that for me is the fact my son has never been there. He's never been on a plane. I'm just seeing his reaction. My whole thing's going to be about just his reaction to everything.
No. You have to say that. But the most exciting thing is clearly making a lightsaber at the.
Well,
I want a lightsaber.
You have to say the kid thing, but everybody knows the most exciting thing you do in Disneyland is to go to the Star Wars lab. And
I literally sold some stuff on eBay, so I have enough money to buy my own lightsaber. I literally just got done. I sold my old MGX 12U mixer is going to become a lightsaber.
Really? Well, I was like,
so when you go, what happened to Matachi's big mixer? You'll be able to see it on the wall back here eventually because it'll be a lightsaber right there.
Yeah,
totally worth.
It's totally worth it. Literally, that's worth the trip all right there. So, but I'm looking forward to CitizenCon. It's going to be so much fun. It's going to be like TwitchCon on steroids. Snake Eater's going.
I know.
Nerds going.
Toys going.
Noodle, you gonna be there? Come on, tell me you're gonna be there.
I should be.
Okay, all right.
Toy will be there. Scorpion's going. You'll have the whole crew.
Rexilla's going. Like, oh man,
a lot of people.
Rex was so much fun. Yeah, he was so much fun to hang out. Everybody there was so much fun to hang out with, and it's just like, Star Citizen community is amazing.
They're good people.
It's gonna be really cool. So
yeah.
Oh, and Tech Mojo's actually talking about some Disney streaming service, but that's something else I'm excited about too. The new Disney streaming service coming out for $6.99 a month, and I'm not # not sponsored. I wish I was.
Yeah.
God, Disney sponsorship. There you go.
Disney sponsorship.
But no, the Mandalorian, all the Star Wars content's dropping on there. All that'll be on there. And
there's going to be an Obi-Wan show as well with Ewan McGregor, which I'm super hyped for.
Yeah.
But somebody was just saying that they hate launchers in chat, and really this comes out like that's basically what streaming services are now, right? It's like all different launchers, and that must drive people that hate launchers up the wall.
Yeah.
And that you
well,
have to
I hate the redundancy of all of them.
Yeah.
but like even going to because we have I have Fire TV in all the rooms of the house up here and stuff, but we have Hulu and Netflix and everything else, and I'll watch a show on one and I'll forget which one am I watching on Netflix or Hulu or this thing, and I'll start to watch. I'm like, this isn't the right season. It just drives me crazy. So
until there's one launcher to rule them all someday, and
one
that's
day
the worst of
somebody
all.
will do it. It'll happen.
Yeah, they're all apps. So like I just have a smart TV, and I definitely have to remember which app I have to go into. But aside from that, it's not like it's a bunch of different things sticking on my TV. But yeah, I mean, I think all that stuff is good for streaming. Is good for everybody.
Anything that stabs cable in the face more, I'm all about it because I just want to kill cable so many ways from Sunday. Now, if they could DirecTV's already like toast now because they pulled Fox from DirecTV. They can't watch Fox football.
Dead in the water.
People literally in Kansas City started protesting because all these people bought DirecTV.
Yeah,
we're a huge football town, and they're like, they lost their shit. Like people like, you should see. It was so bad. One guy painted half his truck. It said like "fuck DirecTV" on it. It was driving around town. Yes, I'm not even exaggerating. Huge thing. Well, we have the kids say Chiefs, man. They're all hyped this year and stuff. So it's like people are losing their minds. But anyway, back to Star Citizen again. We'll give you tidbits.
What's that game?
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the Star Citizen monthly report. And this was like the best summary I saw. It was on Reddit.
Yeah.
Where he just highlighted the parts here. So we kind of mentioned some of those in the previous conversation, but we'll talk here a little bit about. They were talking about mountaintops with extreme weather conditions. They're talking about unannounced location, which I don't like. That's so.
So what is this? What's happening? This is the monthly report. But what are they talking about?
This is a summary of the monthly report, basically. So of the things they've worked on. So they're currently working on an unannounced location, meaning something they haven't already previously mentioned.
I have a funny feeling that this might be them finally going through a jump point. Maybe that's what I'm hoping.
Oh, this is the actual CitizenCon presentation, probably in a month or something.
Possibly, right? Because they haven't really revealed what it is, and the only thing I can think about is that's probably why.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to see the jump point tech, whatever they're gonna do. But I mean, I'm not super excited about that. But like, I am interested. I wonder like where they go.
See it, but I don't care that much right now.
It's really like, I mean, I know there's gonna be gameplay involved, but to be honest, jump points are kind of like load screens. And you know what I mean? They're like,
I don't think it'll be a mechanic. Yeah, I think it'll just be something just made fancy.
Well,
yeah, it's like a load screen between maps. You know, that you just kind of.
And the next part supports that because it's like they say with the Origin 890 jump done, which. That's arguable. The team was focused on very important upcoming ship, and this guy obviously thinks it's the Carrack. That would make sense. Unannounced location, Carrack, jump points. I mean, that seems like the theme.
I mean, it's going to be the Carrack, right? I mean, what else are they going to do? The ship's basically at the end of its development pipeline. It's the most anticipated, if not
I had this exact conversation with Toy 2 years ago when we went to Frankfurt. We're like, well, what else could it be? And then, boom, like they had.
But 2 years ago was the Carrack scheduled to be released on the roadmap that month?
No, but they talked to. I'm just saying.
But
they said, a ship and all this stuff, and that's when they dropped land claims on us. Some random shit we didn't even know about anywhere. It's like, land claim system.
No, I'm sure they're going to drop a lot of stuff that we don't know either as well. But I mean, I'm just saying for the presentation though, the Carrack is literally scheduled to be released like right after CitizenCon.
That can't be the big ship. They always have a ship.
It's not the big ship they're going to announce or anything, but it's probably going to be a big part of the main presentation thing that they always show off.
Especially since Toy confirmed that they're not really doing Squadron 42. They're doing like a very light whatever. So,
I don't see how that's even possible. I don't see that being possible.
He literally talked to the devs when he was over there, and that's what they said.
No. That's what they were.
Yeah.
Because there is no way hype on any level that they've seen in past Citizen Cons with PU shit. We've seen all the cities come out. They could come out with a whole new city. We'd be like, that's cool. It's kind of like the other three.
Yeah.
We've seen all the transportation modes, trains, hover taxis, all that shit.
Yeah.
We've seen caves. We've seen new moons. We've seen new planets. We've seen new plant life. Maybe they could drop an animal. Like, none of that shit is going to get the kind of reaction that Chris Roberts wants out of the crowd, like Squadron 42. And it's supposed to be pretty close. Like, we're supposed to be pretty close.
Beta end of next year. I don't think that it's that close like you think.
Yeah, I think it's the end of next year as well.
I think
they
next
had
year
an entire vertical slice like 2 years ago.
they've had a vertical slice of the whole fucking game 4 years ago. But you know,
no, I understand that. No, not really.
This quarter, there's like 5 items in there now. They've moved everything out into other quarters, so it's just getting pumped along further and further and further.
I'm not saying that it means that the game is almost done. I'm just saying that they certainly could produce a compelling vertical slice from Squadron 42 right now.
Yeah,
and they could they also can't get a bigger reaction than Squadron 42, in my opinion. They could if they gave us another fun stuff.
If they give us another vertical slice of Squadron 42, wouldn't that be, if you mesh that with the other vertical slice we just saw of Squadron 42? Wouldn't that be almost the entirety of the game? Like,
this isn't going to happen, but
just an hour of gameplay that.
Yeah,
I mean,
this isn't going to happen. But like, if they came into CitizenCon and they announced, and now we have 1,000-player servers, that would be more hype than Squadron 42 vertical slices. You know what I mean? Like, that's not going to happen. There's a lot of things they could announce that would be bigger.
If server-side OCS and server meshing like magically got crapped out done in the next month and a half, then that would be the biggest hype ever.
Yeah. At this point, I've abandoned the massive multiplayer part of Star Citizen, and I would kind of wish, and I know they're not going to do this, but I wish they would refocus their efforts on like 50-man servers and be like, hey, what's the experience like? If you just limit it to 50, we know that hits the sweet spot for performance for most people. Now, how good can we get the experience of a player in that 50-man server? But I know that's not what they're going to do.
We've got server-side OCS coming that's close, right? So you never know. I wouldn't be surprised if for SitCon, I know it's very hopeful, but I wouldn't be surprised if they dropped an announcement like, we're increasing the player caps on the servers.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised, but
I'd be shocked if they did that. But
I don't expect it.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect it either. But I'd be shocked if they did it. It'd be amazing if it worked. I'd be 100% in support of that.
Yeah,
but I don't see it happening yet.
Yeah,
but the other thing that's exciting about that would be that would allow for the bigger ships once they have those things done to actually.
Well, you say that though, but they said that the 890 jump didn't actually really affect the server performance much at all. So I don't think adding ships that are much bigger than the 890 would actually make that much of a difference.
I mean, the Idris is almost the same size. It's like, I mean, it's bigger.
Yeah, but they won't drop the Idris till they have.
No, I know. I agree, and I don't want them to. I don't want them to. I'm just saying, like,
I don't give a shit. I
don't. I don't. I want to save it. Save it for Squadron 42, baby.
Now. I mean, literally, how is it saved? I want to have this discussion. How in the fuck are you saving the Idris? Because the Idris, we've seen the whole thing. They've walked through the entire ship. We've seen a vertical slice with a huge of it. We've seen the destructive capability, whole ATV video
how
of
much
it.
has it changed since then?
I don't know.
Yeah. And I love anticipation as bad as much as I actually like fulfilling that anticipation.
I've seen my wife naked. The wedding's not going to be a big surprise at this point.
Delayed gratification is overrated in my opinion.
Oh right.
although you've seen the Idris before, if Squadron 42 dropped today, could you navigate your way to the bridge?
I might be able to. I've watched the big UE videos enough at this point. Unless they move the hallways around, I bet I could. Now, the Javelin would be a surprise, or the Bengal, or something like that would be shocker. You know, that would be a shocker.
I don't even know if they're planning on doing this way, but I think they're mostly doing it. But like in Squadron 42, if you can sneak or you get on board a Bengal ever in Squadron 42, I'm just gonna run away and like just run through the halls. And I don't know if it's fully realized.
You know what would be crazy if they added it in the PU? if they added in not a functioning bangle, but a disabled floating wreck of a bangle, like what they're supposed to do, and it was just out in space right now, that would
I would
be
hang
the
out
most
there every stream.
Everybody would.
Every stream, I would be there.
It'd be like a floating space station that's broken up.
But again, I guess, so we've been talking about a lot of things that we're all very confident are not going to be happening. CitizenCon.
Well,
so
jump points.
The question remains, what do you think would both actually happen and be an awesome, exciting bit of news, or like a deal?
For me personally,
both of those things.
For me personally, I just want to see like a speeder bike fly through the moons of Endor, the forests and stuff, and like try somebody smash into a tree. Like that's something I've been wanting to see for a long time. But that's probably not what's going to happen. But what I think could happen is oceans, waves, water tech, swimming. Right?
That's exciting. That would be exciting.
It would be if it was done well. It would be. Or like
the thing is,
what
underwater bases all of a sudden and nobody cares.
I think Snake is looking for the showstopper. I don't think we're going to have a showstopper. If you look at the
point of CitizenCon,
last year, they just showed us.
Last year didn't have anything. Yeah, last year didn't have anything.
The showstopper was the Kraken. You know.
Well, yeah, I guess ships are kind of easy shinies, but
I mean, it sure as shit wasn't the pillars weren't like a showstopper for me, and that was like
but think about no, that's not true though. We had brand new planet. We had never seen a big city before. We had never seen transportation around the city's ecosystem before. There were some pretty major drops in that hadn't existed in the PU before last year's CitizenCon.
Yeah, but we knew they were coming. It wasn't like, oh my god, I didn't know it was coming. It was still impressive. It was still really cool.
There was nothing unexpected in there.
Yeah,
and we had seen that stuff before in ATVs and stuff.
In the previous year, when they dropped the Pioneer and the Landcliffs, that was totally unexpected. It was like a whole ecosystem, whole different thing that was going on, and all this detail and stuff. And I was really impressed because it was like we hadn't heard nothing about this. And they essentially built a capital-sized ship that they were working on, a whole land claim system that you would be able to take territory and fight over it and do stuff like this, rent stuff, produce materials, all that stuff. That to me, it wasn't more impressive, but it was more surprising. Right? Because I had no clue. I had no foreshadowing. We had hoped they were going to allow us to do things like that, but we had no idea that they had thought through all that and instilled a huge amount of confidence in the game for me because like, look at all the stuff they're doing behind the scenes.
Okay. But
that's what it did for me in that year.
So given how much improved the community content has been, they've been showing us a lot of stuff behind the scenes and the production value's gone up a lot. And given all that stuff, you guys are saying that the keynote's going to probably be pretty boring.
No, I think
what can they show us that's not boring?
I think we will see a hell of a lot more polish. I know that doesn't sound overly exciting, but for me, seeing things like fog and weather effects and seeing, they're working
AI, that's amazing. That would be great.
AI would be the huge thing for me. If they have the AI, because they've talked about it, that would be a showstopper. If they go in there, and they've been working these last 2 years on AI, and you go in there and all the stuff that Tony Z theory crafted about, and you can go there and interact with AI, and they have stations set up like they do with the flight model stuff at the last CitizenCon. If they have that for AI, and the AI is amazing, say you have crews you could all sudden recruit today. At CitizenCon, that would blow me away too. Like I could recruit an NPC
AI in 3.7.
No, they killed me. I wouldn't say I fought.
Crap. I went down into a bunker earlier, killed a dude on the first level, and I went a little bit further, and they were on the lower level.
Yeah, they were SEAL Team 6.
So I ran into a corner, where the steps go down, and I was like, right, okay, I'm gonna move down. And as I went to go around the corner to go down the steps, they all came charging up the steps at me and took cover behind the boxes in front of me. And like half the team actually went round the edge and tried flanking me. So they were attacking me from two different positions. It was terrifying.
Here's what happened to me.
Depends on your experience, because I didn't have that experience at all. But
I peeked the corner and saw nothing, and I went around the corner, and 4 of them popped up a cover and all blasted me. And they were totally.
I went down there and killed a couple guys, and then saw 6 more run past me to around the corner, and then I peeked the corner, and they were all just like like huddling around in a circle and I just mowed them all down. So
that
yeah,
sounds like a dead server to me. That sounds like RAM is maxed or something crazy.
Yeah, and the server.
Well, whatever the reason was Tickle says that you get hit and miss, depends on the experience. That might be a server side thing. Who knows?
It could be. I mean, and that's part of the problem in the past, right? A lot of our experiences in game against the AI or any of that stuff has been not just because the AI is bad, but because the server stuff it desyncs and the AI can't communicate right, and they're just like, hey, I'll just walk into a wall, and that's what they do. So they don't perform what they're supposed to do. But no, I'd say as far as going back to what you said, surprising and blown away, that type of stuff, those systems actually functioning like to a higher level like that would blow me away. That would be like, I want something that's not that I doubt the game's going to get done or any of that stuff. I want something that like brings that hell yeah confidence in the game back. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's what I want.
We've said for a long time that we would prefer the less dramatic polishing and refining of the game than like new feature releases. So I certainly hope you're right about that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think AI jump points, AI improvements, surprise. Here's a nice big ship, and some in core functionality in game. I would love it if Chris Roberts went from the Pillar Talk stuff to say, look, we know you guys are playing this. We know it's live. The next 12 months, not only we're going to be creating feature sets, we have a whole team dedicated to the in-game features that we are working on to make what we have fun. Because what he alluded to in Pillar Talk last CitizenCon was like, basically it's almost a live game to him. It's a live game. We're treating it like a live game and doing feature development, but you can't play it now like a live game.
So to be honest, though, what I actually fully expect, and I think this is highly likely to happen, is I think that we're going to see persistence being announced this CitizenCon. So not like full persistence of like drop a pen on a planet and come back to it, like whatever persistence, but like don't get wipes on your like accounts every 3 months.
I love that.
I believe there's a high likelihood of something like that
persistence,
happening.
expanded inventory where I can get stuff in and out of my ships easily onto my person, right? So I can actually live in my ship, store my gear, get the loadout I want on me, deploy on the planet. AI, corporations, like what happened to Corporations 2.0? Let's talk about some of these systems, like I want to see them working on stuff that allows us all to play together, group easily, and have fun as a team in what we have right now.
Again, I think that got pushed because of them pushing towards squadron stuff, squadron specific stuff.
But I think unless we're going to go the next 12 months waiting for Squadron 42 like we did this year, I mean, I
still don't even understand. Again, how long ago did Cyberpunk 2077 start publicizing game release?
Yeah, but they've been working on that a lot longer than publicizing for it.
Of course they have, but how long before the release did they start?
2 years? Wasn't it 2 years ago, E3, that we saw some of the first things on it?
So
maybe it was. They really hyped up about this last year, but I think we heard about the previous year. But the big showstoppers were this past year.
Like, let's put it this way. How far out do you see first glimpses of gameplay and or trailers for a game that is going to be releasing in the next 2 years? How far out do they normally do that?
A single player game, 2 to 3 years, and that's what Cyberpunk is.
We haven't seen any yet from Squadron 42.
Well, we did. The last CitizenCon was a kind of teaser trailer, right?
And we walked through the game. Like you literally talked to
the game.
What do you mean?
No,
they flew a mission.
Vertical slices aside, though, trailery type things.
They had a huge trailer for it.
You cannot tell me based on what we've received in advertising for Squadron 42 that they are. I mean, I would be fucking shocked if they were a year out from releasing Squadron 42 in any way.
Oh, I think it's more than a year because
following a recipe for marketing. You would be showing people stuff. You would be getting the machine drummed up, and you'd be getting hype going. And they just haven't shown us anything yet.
They said beta sometime in 2020, but beta is like who knows how long it stays in beta, right? So I would imagine at least a year.
That's not true. A game cannot stay in beta like another 3 or 4 years. This is no way.
People would argue that you can't stay in alpha for 6 years either, but.
No, so those. I wouldn't expect. First of all, those terms. No. They're really. I mean, the game is dead if it stays in beta for 3 years. There's no fucking way. That means that they cannot fulfill the game.
They just won't drop the beta till they're ready
like
to test it.
An experiment.
Yeah.
Alpha is like, we don't even know if the engine will work.
In the same game, Squadron 42 is not being developed like any other game, and it's not being marketed like any other game.
It's not being marketed at all.
Well, here's your 1 hour of gameplay for
zero
Squadron
advertising
42.
for
I
it.
mean, they've shown all this that, wow, this is like literally what they showed was a whole hour of playing the game is what it's called.
This is the vertical slice, right? Yeah, so that's why I've referenced this a bunch, but this was how long ago? And
Well, I mean,
look at what we're seeing there, and we haven't seen any of it since then. Like that's what confuses me. I'm like, we get like Twitter feeds of fucking screenies off of players in the PU, and then look at that fucking trailer. Like, look at the backgrounds and the stuff that, like, why don't they tweet any of this shit? Like, why don't they show us little things from, like, even if it's like a very teasing screenshot that you can barely see anything, it's clearly more polished than the PU,
well,
like,
I mean,
I
they're
just
only
don't
gonna
understand.
because they're only going to tweet it and really show this. This is for the existing backers' benefit. This has nothing to do with new players, because a new player, immediately they see these tweets or posts and they go, "Oh, that's awesome. When's that coming out?" I mean, that's reality of it.
So they're not trying to get new backer money.
Well, you not off a game that you have no expectation date. I mean, that's the same thing. Like Cyberpunk even had to put out what year is it coming out or something, and they were pretty quick within 6 months of really pushing it to show when it was coming out. The main question,
really. I mean, they've said for a long time. It was quite a while before they started saying when the actual release date was.
Well, they said it'd be 2020 into 2019, 2020 is what they said at E3 last year.
No, they said there was no release date yet announced.
Yeah.
They didn't say a year. They didn't mention anything about when it was being released. CD Projekt Red doesn't say anything about the release date until they're confident about the release date. But
here's the thing, though. Cyberpunk, they're going for a hard launch. Do we know that
February
CIG plan to do a hard launch of Squadron 42? They might do a soft launch. They might not want the entire gaming public to be playing Squadron 42 on. They might want to try and keep it on the down low. That way,
they'll put it on beta first.
You can scoff all you want, Snake, but like if it's a buggy mess on release, you really want the entire frigging media.
No, that's the point. If you that could be said for any game that gets period. If you of course you're trying not to release a buggy mess. I'm not saying they should. I'm just saying that if you were to follow the normal flow of a game, like we've been given zero indicators other than there's some pretty impressive stuff in this vertical slice as an example, which is why I cannot believe they would not show us at least if not a full 1 hour vertical slice, a good 20 minutes at least of gameplay in Squadron 42 to act as both marketing and backer confidence builder, et cetera, et cetera.
I mean, if they did that, it'd be like the Moro Tour thing they did, where they did one year and then they did another to show you the difference and improvement, but it's the exact same thing.
Yeah,
I don't think they're gonna do another vertical slice of a different hour of gameplay. Because if they're so tight-lipped about I mean, literally, we're looking at the interest again here. I'm like, so I don't feel like there's a lot of secrets on.
If we get this tour again, I don't think it'll be at CitizenCon.
No, and it wouldn't be impressive. People wouldn't be as excited about it. They'd be like, "Hey, that looks better."
Yeah, it would be like a before and after.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not looking for the same stuff with different textures. That's anecdotally interesting at best, but.
Although I want to interrupt for 1 second, they did do like some comparisons last year, before and afters of like 1 year later, and it was impressive how much better it looked.
Yep.
So I maybe expect to see a little bit of that as well, but
I think at the end of the day, there's only one reason Star Citizen is ever mentioned in the world, and that is the sheer amount of money that it's generated from backers. There's never any other reason that Star Citizen ever gets brought up to the larger gaming community.
Here's how you get to the bridge,
that's
by the way.
I have seen, over the last year, I have seen a lot more positivity from the wider gaming media around Star Citizen.
I guess I just don't understand where, like, if I'm totally all about massive amounts of resources and focus being on Squadron 42, because of the two different sides of the project, that's the one I have the most confidence in. You already have seen very famous actors put their confidence in the project. It'll, if nothing else, the sheer cast will be something that's never been done in video games before. So that's value added to the industry. But I just don't understand how you have that in your stable. You have this, amazing game, and you're, I mean, I don't know, you're willing to let people, stick around in a buggy, weird universe thing, but you're not going to show anybody anything about this more polished, better looking.
I think
because the AI doesn't.
I think it's because Squadron 42 has less replayability, right? And they just that the game is the story, and they can't show you the game without
that
the
doesn't
story.
make any sense for marketing, though. Like all games, all video games are like that. Every video game ever made.
All games don't have a beta, and they don't show you an hour of their gameplay, and then an hour the next year, and then an hour next year their game, because their game's out by then.
So you're saying we should get zero marketing products until beta?
Where are you gonna? I don't know how you're gonna improve on this marketing product. Like, that's my thing. Without revealing
what marketing product are you talking about?
The commercial for this and the 1 hour vertical slice that we have right there. I mean, you have one.
So your marketing strategy is one marketing product that should get it done.
When it's ready to market, it's not fucking ready to market, and the AI doesn't work.
So then why do they put anything out? Why do they put out
to keep us happy? Because they didn't give a shit in 2017. So they're like,
so
look at this.
The community would have gone ape shit.
Yep.
So I'm still not understanding your argument. You're saying they should have put out the one to keep us happy, but shouldn't expect another one to keep us happy. And
I guess they could put it one to keep us out happy, but it's not. This wouldn't make the fact that you have this and you have no date and you have this for years is not going to drum up a huge amount of people. It's like, oh, that's cool, another vertical slice of that. I don't think you're going to get a huge sale market from that from people outside the project.
There's a very big difference between the full-on marketing strategy that I think you're hoping for, Snake, and the once-a-year trailer that we might get out of sitcom.
Yep.
Those are two very, very different things. And at the end of the day, going back to Cyberpunk is being marketed in a very different way. Like, look at big AAA releases. How many big AAA releases do we see an hour vertical slice from?
Well, and can we also talk about
a lot of people play the game ahead of time? You see a lot of times the whole word's actual gameplay. You see all the time. E3 years before the game gets released, you see it all the time.
Cyberpunk has a much larger audience than Star Citizen does. Period. Star Citizen will never have the same scope of audience.
But something to bear in mind: that all those games you can play ahead of time are feature complete when players can play them.
Yep.
They're not feature complete years ahead of release.
When you can play them in beta, they are. Those are for things like Cyberpunk and stuff or anything like that. That's just marketing tools that are betas. Like if you play Call of Duty or you play Battlefield or anything in beta, it is a marketing tool. It's no longer like, hey, you're testing for all these bugs as much. They stress test the network. It's a marketing.
That's how it is these days. That's true. But that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying that there's two explanations for the utter barren marketing that they've done for Squadron 42. One is that the game is not even remotely in vision of being done.
That's what I'm
discouraging. Which is discouraging because that's the one that's supposed to be done before the PU.
Yeah, the PU's
the other possibility is that they're utterly children at marketing. Like, they just don't know what they're doing in the video game marketing sector, and they just haven't put anything out. They haven't gone to conventions. You haven't shown us any, like, the one trailer a year thing. Like, I don't know. I mean, if that's supposed to be their marquee title, I don't know. I mean, it just seems like it's one of those two are the only things I can think of for why we haven't seen more from Squadron 42.
Yeah. I mean, and the other thing, games like a Cyberpunk's coming out on console. I mean, it's their blanketing market. They have a much wider audience than Squadron 42 or Star Citizen and all that stuff. And I believe you're right on the first note. Until we see AI fully functional in the game for like the shopkeepers and people walking around remembering you and they're interacting with you 100%, they're not even close to having AI ready for Squadron 42 because it's the same AI. They aren't using characters like other single player games do where they have a written path. That's it. They're using the exact same AI per what CIG says that they're using in the MMO. Same depth and all that stuff. So until we see the AI develop, then Squadron 42 is months and months, if not years away, in my opinion. So that's why I'm hoping is one of the surprises of CitizenCon is like, look how advanced the AI is. If the AI is like made leaps and bounds, and I'm not talking about the ship AI because I don't give a shit about that. We already know they can dial that up to 10 and kick our ass. I'm talking about the interaction and the aspect of the AI you person to person interact with on the ships and the stores and the shops, all that stuff. When that stuff's on point, you'll know the game's much closer for Squadron 42. That'll be the key. Because we know they designed the ships fine. The levels look really good. A single player game, the only thing that would be lacking would be the AI. That's the main hurdle, and they've said that in the past.
Well, interactions, your ability to interact with objects, with the weapons, with doors, with stairs. I mean, all those things are still a long ways off, it feels like. So, that's what I mean.
At least in Star Citizen, they kind of seem like they are, but we don't know how branched the code is between Squadron 42 and I don't know.
And we don't know what side of server issues,
It would be nice to see how branched it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Server issues are the only thing they won't have to deal with as much with the single player. So anything that's an issue with AI or interaction, or like what you're talking about with the weapons, the stairs, locomotion, all that they say is it created server side issues would be negated in the single player. So to me, that the reason I keep putting my finger on AI is probably not developed enough yet to where they're ready for the single player, because everything else should be fixed. Because according to CIG, it's server issues. It's server side OCS, server meshing, all this stuff causing their gateways. You don't have those problems with Squadron 42.
And the reality at the heart of why I want to see some movement out of Squadron 42 is because I remember right before the Squadron 42 roadmap came out, I was like, man, here it is. We're about to find out that the PU roadmap is a year behind the Squadron 42 roadmap. They release it, and I'm looking at it.
They're neck and neck to each other.
It's exactly the same roadmap, and I'm like, shit, we're in trouble. Squadron 42 is not light years ahead of the PU, not at all.
You should be used to this. Isn't you in the military? Hurry up and wait, right? Mentality. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, what happens. I mean, at the end of the day, we do what we always do, which is enjoy the games that come out when they come out, and whenever Star Citizen, if ever it gets done, it gets done. But since we're talking about Star Citizen and wish lists, and we're on the eve of CitizenCon, essentially. That's I feel like this is the time of the year when they have the biggest opportunity to communicate to everybody, to the backers, to people they want to be backers, to the video game community at large, to Twitch. This is the biggest opportunity they've got. Or they've chosen to use of the year to do that. So hopefully, I'm just hoping that they communicate a lot to us.
It's the most wonderful time.
So
Connie's like Christmas.
So who's going to buy this ship when it comes available?
Nah, I don't think so. I'm on the fence, but I don't think so.
I considered it, but I don't think I'm going to.
Yeah, I mean, I already sort of spoken that I have a hard time putting any more money into ships without knowing that purely guns and shields are known quantities.
There's a good possibility I'm going to buy it because it's a tool in the toolbox I'd like to have.
Sure, it makes sense. I mean, it definitely makes sense. If it works the way it's supposed to and all that stuff, I mean, it just absolutely makes sense to have as part of a group,
Yep, absolutely. So
but it's nice to see the gameplay mechanic coming with it.
Yes. Did anybody see this little sneak peek here from the little live stream UI here?
I think that's awesome.
Does look cool. Does look very cool.
It looks cool. I'm worried about the implementation there. Is if that's on a mobiGlass and I have to check that on a mobiGlass and that's not on my helmet, that's going to be hot garbage. Because
they've just been making me feel.
Let me look.
I'm sorry, but I just feel stupid when I see UI stuff, and I feel both things. I feel excited, incredibly excited that there are 8 ways to fucking view items in my inventory in a pie menu. It's like amazing. It's fucking light years ahead of what we had 2 days ago. And then hey, we can see a couple status things, and I just feel stupid being excited about that shit because it's a fucking HUD. I mean, it's like
other games.
If it's in my helmet, I'll be happy with it. If it's like some weird way to get to it where I have smack buttons and stuff, I'm not gonna be happy. Oh, no, I hope it is in the helmet, and people are like, "It's in the helmet." Yeah. It's hard to tell there because it could be in the corner. Because you see this little path here. It looks like it might be in your helmet.
Is it medical gameplay? Is an interesting question.
That would be really cool too. But I don't see how this would be relevant.
Because the thing is, you can almost see like the holographic effect below. So I'm wondering if that's a tricorder.
You cut out. I can't hear anything anymore.
I hear it.
Hello.
Oh, he's out. He's just disconnected. He's lost his. Yeah.
I think that this might be a medical tricorder because you've got some sort of temperature on the left. You've got like broken bone. Yeah. Got heartbeats.
I agree that it very well could be. And look at the region, like you can see where damage is and stuff. It looks way different than that. It could be medical.
I'm assuming the thermometer in the middle is, you stick a probe.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't see the butt cheek emblems.
They haven't advanced any technology in that department, have they? No. One way to get a temperature, proper temperature.
Possibly, we'll see. It's a good idea though. Medical gameplay could be interesting with that.
Yeah.
See what happens there. Oh, I'm not really going to go into the Star Citizen Live stuff, mostly for the fact it was them developing a weapon, which is cool because I'm always applauding when they show us how the sausage is made. That's always a complaint of mine. But again, I think it's worth watching if you're interested in how they concept like ship weapons and things of that nature. And like if you're ever in a ship, you're like, who the hell came up with this crap? Or, hey, this is really cool. How'd they come up with this crap? Either way, I think it's a good video to watch because you kind of see how they go from the concept there and how closely the concept works with the actual engineers implementing it and those type of things. So either way,
makes a clock gun.
Love that, yeah.
Yeah,
a clock gun. It only fires at a certain time of day.
There you go.
Very finicky.
Other areas they've talked about working on, they've worked on like spawning vehicles. They're still working on that stuff, and that's why they're working on refactoring restricted areas, weather, all these things. All these things I keep hearing about. I'm looking for cues in what they say in the monthly reports and stuff. Maybe something that will be lead into it. Hey, this is the surprises of CitizenCon. But I haven't seen anything crazy, dropping that's like, oh, there. So they're being really tight-lipped about it.
I mean, Disco said flat out in a post not that long ago that they are literally with stuff because it is harder to come up with points of interest for the community. This is your marquee show of the year where you like to shine, be the belle of the ball, and he said that they just they've put a lot of content out. If you really do look back from the last CitizenCon where we didn't have any big cities or any stuff like that now, or any long like systems far away, or not systems but places to traverse a long distance. Mm-hmm. And now, since then, they've launched several of those, and they've got lots, several more ships and stuff. So, and they're better at showing us the process with their community products. So he said that it's just harder to have those things for the show. So they've got to kind of like hold some of it,
To be honest, at CitizenCon in the past, they used to always use CitizenCon to announce new scope creep, and they've gotten away from that. So it's less exciting, but it's also better because we're actually building the game.
Yeah, we're seeing stuff delivered that you see in the show within a month or two at least. You're starting to see things that pop up. So
one thing that I am kind of expecting to see at CitizenCon, and I know everyone will lose their minds if it happens.
Keanu Reeves.
Tessa Bannister.
Yeah.
The what?
Tessa Bannister.
Yep.
As a mission giver, as an actual physical mission giver.
I know people would be excited about it, but that wouldn't that's not a bring down the house thing. I think that'd be like a nostalgic.
I think
that's so
cool.
People
would get excited about that. Like
they would.
It's almost a meme
missions for what? To like
because it's Tessa.
Get a box.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like having your favorite character. She's super popular.
Distress bacon. Maybe the mission is go and get bacon.
Yeah.
Enjoy her presence.
There you go.
Not creepy, not in a creepy way, chat. Don't go creeping.
Don't make it creepy. All right. Well, if anybody has any questions for the beautiful cast we have here, you're more than welcome to ask them. You have to type !question or questions. I made both commands so nobody would fight over it anymore. Link to the forum, and then we'll try to go through those. In the meantime, let's go around the room, find out when you're going to be streaming next, what you're going to be streaming, and yada, yada, yada. We'll start with Moist Noodle.
I'm going to be streaming tomorrow. I've been playing a lot of World of Tanks, actually. But I think I'm terrible at light tanks. Terrible.
Okay.
I can't spot to save my life. I just die instantly. But tomorrow I think I'm going to be putting that on the back burner just so I can get some 3.7 time in because I am
going to go cave diving.
3.7. Yeah, I love spelunking.
Yeah,
they are really cool. The caves are cooler than I thought they'd be, but I like the idea of trying to do some sort of group play and maybe fill up some sort of ship with a bunch of ore and actually go through those whole things like, can you share money? Can you share loot? Can you do all those things? So it's kind of neat.
Mitch, you know I'm always down for group play with you.
Oh, I know you are. But this will be streamed, so.
Oh, that's fine. I'm used to
ready to run to your
that makes your stream.
There you go. That's more of a pay-per-view type deal. Luke, how about you, buddy? What's coming up for you?
So tomorrow morning I'm gonna jump into 3.7 because I haven't played it yet, and I just want to see what all the hubbub is about. And then so Monday, sure, some more Star Citizen. On Tuesdays, I've been streaming. And it's not even a game yet because it's not out, but last month of Tuesdays I've been streaming Chronicles of Valeria, which is a game that's coming out soon, TM, just like Star Citizen. And it's a highly ambitious, massively online game. And it's been really cool. The community is a different community. Well, there's some shared community between Star Citizen and Chronicles of Valeria, but they're just as passionate. And I've had a lot of fun. And man, I've spent 12 hours over the last 3 weeks just researching this game on their website, and I feel like I've barely scratched the surface. And this Tuesday, I'm interviewing one of the kings in the game. It's in the MMO. There's people who have king titles and duke titles and stuff. So I'm gonna have him on my show, and I'm gonna ask him about how he got in the game and what the game's about, and and the game is very much a bit community-based thing. So I'm going to talk about that. That's a new passion of mine. And then, of course, more Star Citizen the rest of the week. So,
yeah. Sweet. That's a tune in for that for sure.
Interesting.
And Snake, how about you, bud?
I'm going to play a couple hours of 3.7 after the show here, stream that. And then another huge release coming out for me is .12 of Escape from Tarkov. It's the biggest content release to date for that game. It includes new map, new scav boss with cronies, new weapons, of course, new level of persistence. So you have like your stash will be a physical place like you go to and you can upgrade it and put all your stuff there. And there's all kinds of new features. Escape from Tarkov is at a really cool place in its development where most of the patch is just content dumping, and like they may have to hot fix a couple tiny bugs here or there, but generally it's like all forward, all go, and this one is the biggest one yet. So it'll be exciting when that happens. There'll be a wipe, as there usually is with Escape from Tarkov, and it's just going to be a fun new Escape from Tarkov experience. So definitely going to play a lot of that. Although of course we'll be trying to do heavy Star Citizen streaming leading up to CitizenCon as well.
Cool. Yeah, I've been playing some. I didn't play the last day because 3.7 dropped in PTU, but we'll be playing more PTU tomorrow. But might sneak in some more Ghost Recon after this because I've been really enjoying Breakpoint. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, this is terrible. It's got microtransactions." I haven't spent any money besides buying the game, and I'm having a good time. So I don't know. It's got a lot of a Division feel in it. And stuff, except a little more open world, and I don't know, I'm really enjoying it. It's been good.
It's that you mentioned it. That's the one thing that has annoyed me a little bit about the videos on YouTube that I've watched about that game. Nobody has mentioned the gameplay at all, so I don't know how good the gameplay is.
I don't think half the people bitching have played the game, to be perfectly honest with you. I think they saw microtransactions, they're like, "Oh, it's bullshit." They
usually is the case. Yeah, the bitchers usually don't spend a lot of time with the game.
But I've had a good time with it so far, and it's been really enjoyable. So I'm going to continue to play it. And the story's pretty good. The story is actually pretty interesting in it, and it's a little different. And I'm enjoying it. And whenever you fight like the actual main elite bad guys, they're actually kind of tough. I'm even just playing on normal right now, and they'll take it to you. And when you're dead, you're dead. I mean, you don't lose a bunch of stuff or anything. You can come back, but I mean, they don't mess around and they flank. I mean, they're like dropping down in bushes and flanking you, bringing in air support. They got drones and stuff. They're like no joking on you, and I'm like, holy crap! So it's pretty good.
Cool.
I enjoy it. All right,
I'll check that out a little bit too.
Absolutely. All right, so we do have. I think we got one question. So we'll do that. We've covered everything so thoroughly. You guys did a great job. We don't need a lot of questions.
Is it why so salty?
No, it's from Jay Calvin. He asks, do you feel that the lore is being withheld for the PU due to the development of Squadron 42 and how they are mum on the development of anything else story-wise?
I thought they had a lot of lore. I just never read it. I was under the impression there was a lot of lore for the PU. Is that not true?
I feel like there's so much lore that they're like, they don't even have enough content to cover the lore they've produced because they wrote like a, 4,000-page novel on the game.
Pub has an entire channel dedicated to this shit, right?
Yeah.
I don't read it, so I don't know. Maybe there's lore that you're looking for that doesn't exist, but I don't know.
I would say that it makes sense for them to withhold stuff that.
Oh, you meant mission lore.
Mission lore.
There's a spoiler to the Squadron 42 storyline. So if it's related to that, and like, because there's lore, like history can add depth to a story without giving away the story.
It's also funny though, right? Because the way we're going to be playing this, because Squadron 42 happens before the PU. So depending on how they release that, you could spoil aspects of the game, even though the whole script's really out there if you really want to dig for it and spoil the game for yourself.
Unless they rewrote part of it, but I have no idea.
Yeah, Squadron 42, if you release too much more information on like tie-ins and stuff like that, I think that it'd spoil a lot of that game. But I think that they'll drop in the PU a ton of new missions that relate to Squadron 42 once Squadron 42 is out. You know what I mean? Because that's the way a lot of MMOs tie in like their campaigns, where this is a little different because it's a single player separate game that ties into the MMO. I think you'll see things drop in the MMO related to Squadron 42 once we have that as a playable game out there to tie them more together.
Genuine question, because I've never really considered this or thought about it. But are people expecting to see kind of like story arcs for missions? A bit like a traditional MMO, or are we expecting more just procedurally generated missions that are just generic and fairly random?
Because there are story arcs.
Storylines.
Yeah, there are story arcs now. Like
I suppose, with the mission givers.
Yeah, like even with Tessa and stuff, they're like mini little stories. It's not like an overall single branch. But I think you can go on tangents of like 5 and 6 mission sets, right? Where it's like, and I want to see like, say there's a big battle in Squadron 42 or something happens there. Wouldn't that be cool in the PU to like, hey, you could revisit that old battle site like from back then, and there's some missions that tied to the single player game. That would be cool.
Something I've been thinking about with the new Star Marine map, for example, because that's based on, is it Lear 2 or Lear 3? But it's 100 years before the PU. But you have to bear in mind they have the wear and tear system, so theoretically that location, that building could actually be there, but it looks like shit in the actual PU.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I think that's kind of cool.
One thing I guess I haven't really thought of, and I don't know how they're going to handle it. It's easy to see, how they will create stories and quest chains that are stories in Squadron 42. But in an MMO, you have to use a different vehicle because it's not instanced, or unless you go to a specific part of a story that's instanced. So they can't really bring to bear the same great tools that they will be in Squadron 42 to illustrate those stories. So I wonder, if they're going to, I guess it's just as long as the backdrops are dramatic enough and there's enough story, like NPC characters, they can just tell whatever story they want. But
I think it's going to be like you're saying, Snake, like more environmentally based. Like something happened here from Squadron 42, and you're doing maybe not necessarily tied to that because it's so many years down the road, but it's like you're in that place where that event happened. Like it'd be cool, like even in one of the chapters, because you got to realize we got at least 3 chapters of the Squadron 42 story and all stuff. Like the Bengal that's down inside the PU we have now. Wouldn't it be cool if that was part of a battle or something, or the Jav or whatever it is? I can't remember now. That's crashed on the planet that you can go visit and stuff, and it's just dilapidated. I look to see things like that, and maybe some of the single player stories that happen, and then you visit that stuff, and they have the story campaigns, like they're saying in chat, in the PU. Like they release those things like, oh, this is what happened then, and then now there's a new mission set inside the PU that's related to like what happened how many ever, dozens if not 100 years before and stuff like that. I think that'd be kind of cool because it'll tie in what that means to that environment. A place you visit 1,000 times like means something in this.
Yeah. I think they've got to add story, to be honest, if there's supposed to be depth. I mean, they've already said they're not going to give the community, absolute free reign on like creating its own thing, economies and stuff are going to be kind of clamped down.
Like I still don't know what happened to Korea. Like why is Korea a security station that's like kind of there but not there, you know what I mean? It's like
I'd like to know more.
Yeah, or some of the stations, like they have many stories in the station, like this blew up because this, you had to do the insurance fraud missions, those type of things. I think they're just going to have more environmentally based missions in the PUs as they roll that out.
Yeah, I do agree though. There seems to be something like like Hurston's got a vibe to it, like Lorville's got a vibe to it, but like I feel like that there could be more story with like what's his name, the Hurston dude is in that office up there with the pills. Like there's an implied story there,
I think it might be.
What is it?
Constantine Hurston.
Yeah, thank you. The Hurston dude.
Cokehead Hurston.
Well,
no, but my point is like there's almost like this implied background story that they're just not telling us, and I think it would make the gameplay richer if there was just a lot more there, like they were mentioning. So yeah.
And I think the interesting dynamic, since they don't have like in WoW or something or some of these other games, you have like you could have an overall large story arc, and then you have all these side mission stuff. Since they have a whole separate single player game and the MMO, it's almost like you're playing the prequel while you're playing the current game at the same time, so you can see both environments. So as they release more chapters of Squadron 42, it's going to be really interesting. Like I could go back and see what Hurston looked like, 100 years ago, or when something was created or something. So you'll see.
I think they, in terms of the lore, I think they almost hit the nail on the head very, very early on with the PI mission.
Yeah,
and the station isn't called Kovalex. It's the company that's called Kovalex. Gundo.
Yeah,
Kovalex Gundo.
Yeah, that was a really good mission.
They had floating data pads around, so you could learn a little bit about.
Yeah, that was a really good
kind of. Yeah, that's kind of disappeared from the verse. No?
Yeah, I agree. The PU's 100 years in the future, or how far in the future from Squadron 42? 100?
I think it's 100.
Okay, so does that mean that in Squadron 42 there's going to be a battle over Daymar where like Javelin crashes?
Maybe not in that chapter, but maybe one of the other preceding chapters. Because you have to think all those chapters.
I wonder if they've thought that ahead. I wonder if they're like, we're going to put a crash Javelin here because in Squadron 42 there's something that's going to happen.
But there's 3 chapters, so maybe it's going to be in the second or third iteration.
Yeah, another 5 years because we retire from the military, don't we?
Oh yeah, so 5 years.
PU characters. So
we live forever, okay?
Yeah, the technology. I
think we can hover upside down on moons. We can live forever. I mean, come on, we're 1,000 years in the future. Seriously, guys.
You get Chrono Frozen at the end of it. It's like a Fallout tie-in.
It'll be interesting to see in terms of like the game design standpoint, questing and all of that. They've because there's no RPG elements to it really. There's no experience or skills that you have to develop per se. They've flattened the game loop in that respect. So a lot of times you'll see in RPGs or MMOs like loads of quests around to sink time into because you need to build your character, right? But in Star Citizen, you're not gonna have to do that. And really the only thing, it'll be interesting to see how they motivate people to drive on and experience the universe. That's not just money, because clearly that's really right now kind of the only resource that matters, outside of just wanting to see things and do things and live your best life. That's the only thing in game that would cause you to sink time into specific things or repeat things over and over again,
Yep. All right.
Yep.
Nailed it.
That was our question. So there you go.
I think we had a good discussion about that, to be fair.
I think so. We're actually about almost a half hour over our normal time anyway.
Totally won that question.
Kind of went over on that, but that's good. So
yeah.
So how many people are going to play Red Dead 2 when it comes out on PC?
Me.
I definitely want to take advantage.
I've never played it. I've saved it for PC.
It almost got my PS4 out of the store.
I bought it, and I'm not ashamed. I'll buy it again, just like I did with GTA 5. I don't care. I mean, people are like, "Oh, I'm gonna wait for PC." I'm like, "Cool. I played it a year ago. I'll play it again now too."
Yeah.
Have a little bit more knowledge of what I'm doing, baby.
I know it was well received, so I definitely will try.
I'm really looking forward to the MMO-ishness of it, where you can play with your friends on the PC version more, though. So
yeah.
I don't really know anything about the game. I've managed to avoid everything about it because I've been waiting for it to come out on PC. I purposely ignored everything.
I almost know nothing, except that I do hope, and I don't know this, but I hope they have a bar somewhere down in Mexico with some tequila and poker and thunderstorms that roll through, because that's my favorite part of Red Dead 1, and I want to relive that in Red Dead 2.
Very specific, but
I will just say without
spoiling
anything,
it was a very enjoyable moment for me.
You will not be disappointed in that regard. I will say that.
Okay. All right.
Are there ladies of the night in the game?
I took a lot of baths.
Moist Noodle wants to RP.
I took a lot of baths in there, so yes.
Trying to wash that shame off. It's not coming off, though.
I think this might be my real heavy introduction to RP in this regard, because I'm definitely down to do this. Because there's one thing I know, being from the Midwest and Kansas City, I can do a cowboy. It's all good.
So I think Luke has an earthquake.
Oh, that's me. I see my leg shaking. Yeah. I'm in California.
No, I'm super excited about it, though. So, yes. So, everybody mark your calendars. November 5th. We're going to...
Remember the 5th of November.
Yep.
The gunpowder treason and plot.
There's a lot of other stuff coming out, too. I mean, Borderlands 3 just came out, but they have a whole bunch of DLC. Destiny 2 just dropped its DLC. I mean, there's some other stuff popping out between now and the end of the year as well. So,
we're gonna have to posse up, man.
Fourth quarter,
I am super excited. Going back to Cyberpunk, I'm so excited for Cyberpunk. When is Cyberpunk due out?
I think
April of next year.
Yeah, it's April, because it was February. They pushed it to April.
I only know because I just looked it up.
They have also mentioned that they are working on some sort of multiplayer aspect of that game too now, which I got super hyped about.
Almost these days, I almost hope they don't do that. But if they execute it well, it could be cool.
I just kickstarted another game. I can't remember the name of it right now. That is trying to do a full Cyberpunk MMO as well. So there's some of those are out there too. Not same company though, unfortunately. But I love that.
So they're going to start making Witcher 4 as well, which is also if you look at the differences between each iteration of Witcher. I mean, the next Witcher.
I'm about to say something that's going to trigger everybody in chat, right? I don't like The Witcher 3.
And that's our show, guys. See you later.
Au revoir.
There you go. So,
where's the shame for you?
Ring the bell. Ding. Shame.
I've never played a Witcher game, so
everybody's allowed to like what they like.
I've tried
with The Last of Us 2.
I just can't get into it.
Last of Us 2 is probably coming out before the end of the year, right?
What is? No, it's next year, I think.
Is it next year?
Yeah, being next year.
I thought they.
I know. I'm waiting for that.
Let me see.
Well, I'll be totally honest. Last of Us 2 is the reason I bought a PlayStation 4. I've played other games on it, but that's the entire reason I bought that.
February. The irony of it is, I mean, it's absolutely worth it one way or the other. But the irony is certainly that at that stage when it comes out, it's like literally the twilight moments of that console, that hardware.
Yep. So it's because the first one almost didn't make PlayStation 3, right? It was like at the very end of life cycle.
So bizarre. Like the development cycle of that title is the entire lifespan of a console.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you remember when Grand Theft Auto 5 came out and it was on PS3? Did you ever play it on the PlayStation 3? At one point,
No, I played it on
they
5.
finally stopped supporting the PlayStation 3. They were like, we can't fit anymore in the game.
Yeah.
Please,
Yeah.
just move on, people. Just move on, please.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I look at it this way: if computer gamers can replace graphics cards when they have to, you can replace your console. I mean,
sure, it's not that expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, it's expensive depending on your life and livelihood and all that stuff.
but it's still
in
cheaper
the
than
technology
a graphics
terms,
card.
it's like a graphics card costs
It's
usually.
like half the cost of a graphics card if you're buying the entire Wii.
If you're buying the top end ones, yeah.
This next generation of consoles may kill PlayStation. People are not going to want to hear it, but if Stadia kicks off and you can literally play PC level games on PC level hardware with a controller on the cloud,
Yeah, it might.
And
It might.
they're selling $1,000 PS5, people are going to be like, sorry, Sony, man. But I mean,
but it just depends what price bracket you're in too, because like what they're trying to do is these gaming console companies are trying to push the limit to how much money can I get out of a console player before they're going to jump to a PC. Like that, they're trying to find that spot.
They literally have to sell at a loss for the first like year or two of their hardware before they start to make any money. And their hardware was already pretty low end as far as, you know, computer hardware is.
Are we on about consoles?
Yeah.
Well, they make a loss on every console sold. They make their money back on licensing from the games.
Not initially. Well, that's what I mean. They literally are selling for a loss because of the competition in the beginning, and then they eventually make that. But from a hardware standpoint, it's like a losing fight from the very beginning.
But they still got to make a profit, or they wouldn't make them.
Well,
it's just off the game licensing and everything else.
You say that, but how many products does Sony not sell anymore?
By the way, did you guys see, you know, the really adorable Korean lady from E3? Did you guys see her? Oh my god, she was incredible. There was this I can't remember the name of the game that she was there to promote, but she was so cute and adorable. And she recently left the company that was making the game, and it was a little bit dramatic, but she's just announced that she's running for CEO of Sony Worldwide Studios, which I think is kind of interesting, but that means nothing to anybody. So let's move on. Sorry.
running the PR campaign to get the job. That's smart.
I was just thought you were saying running for president. I'm like, why not? Everybody else is. It doesn't even it's like what? You got a pulse? Run for president. Let's do it.
But there is a game that's got a new patch coming out in November. And I'm super excited, and I know everybody's going to be really excited. Fallout 76.
I thought you hated me for like making you buy that game.
I do.
Okay.
I bought it, and I only played it for like 4 days.
It's okay, because as of November, you're not going to have to listen to audio tapes to try and work out what the hell the lore is doing in that game.
Are there going to be NPCs in the game finally?
As of November.
That's actually kind of good.
That was really missing. I may or may not even touch it again, because there's some games that piss me off so bad after I play them a little while. I'm so disappointed with them. I just can't go back. You know, even if they're amazing, and I'd say No Man's Sky is one of those games I tried to play a little bit, and it's way better now.
I really don't like No Man's Sky,
but it's something like I feel like I burned a lot of time to begin with, and I'm just like, you know. And I had Fallout 76. I was so disappointed with. I was so hyped about that, and I was so disappointed when it came out. I was like, really? I'd honestly say 76 probably pissed me off more than No Man's Sky did. Because I was just totally expecting it to be good.
My criticism is the same for both of them, really. Like, it wasn't. Yeah, Fallout. Actually, no, I'm even more critical of Fallout 76 because Bethesda
is a big company, and they've made a lot of games.
Knew that this game was not worth what they were asking for it. And interestingly, the company that owns Bethesda, ZeniMax, I learned today that they're actually a privately owned company by a handful of people. Do you know who one of those people is?
Me? Just kidding. I don't know.
The brother of the President of the United States of America. Just a random fact for you.
Wait, who's the president of the U.S.?
I'm sure he has no idea he even owns part of that.
Yeah.
You're probably right.
I mean, people get so sensitive about who owns what, and like, to be honest, most of these guys that have that kind of money have absolutely no idea what they even own. they're like, they have investment bankers and stuff just throwing their money in different projects. They're like, I don't know, do I own that? It's like, no, but I own this hotel and golf course over here. I'm good.
Yeah, exactly.
Stuff I use, you know.
They buy hotels and golf courses like most people buy cars.
Yeah, exactly. So,
anyways,
but we'll go ahead and let you guys get out of here, man. We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you guys again so much for being here on the show. I appreciate Moist you coming up this ungodly hour to be on the show.
You can see the sun coming up.
Yeah,
right,
it's peering through. You need those blackout shades so that way you can be like, it's still night, I believe.
That's how you know you did it right.
That's right.
Oh my god.
So I think I am gonna stay up and play a little bit of Ghost Recon after this. So anybody wants to hang out, that's cool. Otherwise, if you want to catch some other action, I think Snake, you said you're going to be playing what?
Oh, 3.7.
There you go. If you want to stick in some Star Citizen Snake Eater, you can go over to his channel here in a little bit, and he'll be live with that. If you want to hang out and do a little bit of Ghost Recon, I'll be playing that. So until next time, guys, we'll see you next week. So that's the whole bag.
More.
Yep. Bye, guys.
Bye.